2 weeks, and she, you know, she's enjoying it, but I'm also a little bit worried because I'm like, okay, what about them kids? Like, how are you gonna, what about fractions? What about fractions? Okay, yeah, but what about fractions? As a Texan, didn't you guys get like some snow or weather or something like that, and your senator was like at a beach or something like that? I don't know, something along those lines. I forgot. Yeah, like that black snow. It's like, yeah. Like, I don't know. So I think I'm getting better at playing All of My Shipwreck. Actually like it a lot. It's really fucking fun. So I want to do is, it takes me about 2.5. Like the last time I did it, it took me 2 hours, 2.5, like 3 hours to do. And I know I could do it faster, so I want to do it faster. So, yeah. Black snow. Yeah, it's like when it's been driven on and it's like dirt and it's like next to the side of the road, and so there's like car residue in it, and it's like, hey, if a kid was like, hey, snow, let me eat it, they would be hospitalized. Yeah, like that. Yeah, it's not very good. It's not very good. You should not consume it. Luna Snow's sister, Black Snow. No, aesthetically it's like yeah, it's just like, think of a snow cone with toxins. Does that help? I'm sorry, do you guys watch Arlo? I know, but I think I've been watching a lot of Arlo recently, and I don't agree with everything. I'm not like a fan, but I like having it on in the background. I like having him on in the background. Like, I don't agree with everything, but it's nice background noise. So I'm kind of down. So like,
all these new days.
There's a video that I was gonna watch later, called "I Think Nintendo's in for a rough year." Do you want to watch it with me? Do not put on a video. Are you sure? Like, I don't know. I kind of want to see it. I kind of want to see it. Well, I want to see. Like, I don't know. I don't like, you know. Oh, bitch. Okay. No, I do have a good video. This one I promise you was good. All right, let me put it up. Is it Angela? No, it's not Angela. It's a different one of his videos.
This video.
He's gonna try to predict Nintendo's entire 2026, which is fun. What a fun idea. I'm in 13 at the end of chapter 11. Once you leave Pulse, doesn't it start the end of the game? If you leave Pulse, you're not coming back. I don't think. I think once you leave, you need to do everything, including end game. Like, I think you have to do. Oh God, no! You do go back. No, you go back one more time. You have an option to go back one more time. I think at the very end, there's gonna be like a warp point or something. I think that you can use to go back. I believe. I fought Bartandalus. Yeah, if you fight him and you go up, I think you have the option to go. You shouldn't go immediately. You should really make sure that you get everything done first before you leave. Otherwise, yeah, you kind of get fucked.
Was brought to you by Squarespace. I'd be like, woof. You thought we forgot, didn't you? But no. No.
Get to the fucking get to the bullshit.
Switch generation, and I'd already predicted Switch 2 stuff endlessly. But the full thing is,
First of all, what do you guys want for 2026 besides stupid Fortune fucking shit weaves that nobody cares about? I still think this console's a scam. So far with no games on it. And really annoying devs or really annoying support. And they're fucking getting a little too big for their britches. Kind of pisses me off a little bit, actually. Kind of pisses me off a little bit. Kind of make me mad. Mario Kart World content. That'd be nice. I hear you should buy one sooner rather than later because the prices could hike soon. Oh, yeah! Am I missing one? No, I'm not. Okay. I don't know why I thought you had Mario Kart. Go on. Hello. Okay. I don't know why I thought you had that. I don't know. Okay, so I do need anyway.
And since the Switch 2 released last June, this will be its first full calendar year, so this is a particularly exciting time to start imagining all the stuff we might see. That said, we are doing things a little differently this time. Instead of going month by month and hitting every possible point and detailing the contents of every Nintendo Direct, we're going to keep things a little looser. I've organized these predictions into different categories, and we'll be kind of jumping around, being a little more vague about some stuff. I tend to get really lost in the weeds sometimes. I think I'm just having too much fun, and that slows production down a good amount, so we're going for a better balance here to keep production itself more breezy and enjoyable. And as always, I'll remind you that I try not to just predict things that I want. I already did a whole wish list video for that. Here, I try to get into Nintendo's head and imagine what I think they might do, and that always includes taking some wild swings. That way, I'm almost guaranteed to get everything wrong, but it's also a lot more fun. And stay tuned for the end of the video where I go over all of last year's predictions and see how many, if any, I got right. So let us begin. This is how I think Nintendo's 2026 will go down. Let's start by talking about two 2026 games that were announced in 2025. Splatoon Raiders will be fully revealed in a February Direct, and here the name
What is
Raiders
this?
has a double meaning. The player explores many different islands.
Splatoon, was this a thing? I don't know what this is. I've never heard of this. I don't know what this is.
Some pre-made and some randomly generated, or at least remixed. You spend a day raiding each one. When the sun is up, you explore, and you're on an island, so of course, you gotta hunt for treasure. That's like the whole thing. You try to get as much treasure as possible, but you also collect resources, there are enemies to fight, old shipwrecks and dilapidated buildings and whatnot that offer platforming challenges, but your time is limited, and when the sun goes down, you get raided. It's a lot like Salmon Run. You pile up all the treasure you collected and you lock it up in a big cage, and swarms of enemies come out of the ocean to try to get it. But there's a lot more enemy variety here. You know, that's kind of the whole game. Lots of bosses, and even like CPUs with inking and swimming abilities, like Inklings and Octolings. You don't have to do it alone, though. Before the raid, you've got a little time to use all the materials you gathered to build defenses. Guns of all different kinds, shields,
Interesting.
blockades. You can upgrade this robot thing. You can temporarily beef up your own abilities. And of course, the better you do, the more treasure you leave with in the morning. And there's always like a big dramatic exit where you and the big box of treasure get airlifted off the island. So that's the basic loop. It's a little survival, a little crafty, a little tower defense, even a little roguelite with the, daily runs. Nintendo did say that this would be a single-player game, though when it releases, they'll mention that they have a plan to provide a limited co-op mode somewhere down the line. They will also winkingly mention how they're working on the next mainline Splatoon Splatoon game.
Oh, that'd be nice.
It's not going to be like an official reveal or anything, so no release window to speak of. And unfortunately, there will be a bit of a stink when Nintendo reveals that this is a $70 game. Many will feel that based on what's shown off in the trailers, this is Nintendo charging full price for what looks like Splatoon 3 DLC. Whether or not that'll be a fair assessment, the crystal ball has not revealed to me as of yet, but it will be an annoying blemish on what is otherwise
I just lost
a really
3
great
Pikmin
game.
for no reason.
I hope my idea is true, because that really does sound fun. Then, of course, 2026 will see the release of Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Unfortunately, we got a little bit more controversy here. The game will introduce one or more very new mechanics. I'm not enough of a Fire Emblem guy to come up with any good ideas. Co-op, taco truck
Co-op
game. Yeah, I don't know. But these additions will be so different that they'll kind of split the fans. The game will review pretty well, but the sales will struggle compared to Three Houses and even Engage, casting much doubt on the future of the series. Everyone will wonder, why is the game not selling? Is it the new mechanics? Is it the overall style? Is it something else? Or just the Switch 2 small install base? And we'll just have to hope that the game has legs and wait and see what happens. 2026 will be a year of many important anniversaries. In fact, the February Direct will highlight a whole bunch of them. It'll have its own dedicated section based on anniversaries. Yoshiaki Koizumi will come on and he'll talk about his experiences with all these systems and game series, mentioning how quickly time passes. The N64 will turn 30, the GBA and GameCube will turn 25, and the 3DS turning 15 will get a special mention, leading to the reveal of... Yep, the Kirby Planet Robobot remaster was real. They just held on to it for a while. You know how Nintendo does that sometimes. This will be for the original Switch, but they will also offer a performance patch for 4K 60 FPS on Switch 2. Pretty sweet. The game will have some new content, though unfortunately nothing as substantial as Return to Dreamland Deluxe. This will be a little more in line with Switch's other, more disappointing remasters. It's not all bad news though. It's still going to be great, mainly because they'll include a lot of quality of life features long requested by fans.
It's predictions. It's predictions. Yeah.
For a 3DS game. Then Koizumi will come back on and mention how the Wii is turning 20, and I, vividly remembering making a 10-year anniversary video, will crumble into dust.
Hold on, I'm having a little existential crisis here.
They'll do a fun little retrospective talking about launch games, which will then rebuild me from my dust pile through the revitalizing power of nostalgia. And at the end of the retrospective, they'll land on Elebits, which was apparently called LEDs in other regions. Weird. If you haven't heard of it, it was a really cute little game where you used pointer controls to look for these little creatures in a house. Well, guess what? Switch 2 is getting a new one. Completely ignoring the DS and mobile releases, this is simply called Elebits 2. And as you probably could have guessed, this one uses mouse controls. Elebits 2...
Does anything use the mouse controls yet? Is that even a thing? The Switch mouse. The Switch mouse, by the way.
Be a pleasant surprise for old dust piles like me. Then the presentation will move
Switch
on to
rat,
Animal
right.
Crossing, which turns 25 in 2026. So they'll talk about that a little, and they'll outline some fun anniversary stuff lined up for the year, collabs and merch and all that. And as with Splatoon Raiders, they will mention that they are hard at work on the next game, but aren't ready to share anything yet. Koizumi will mention how Pikmin also turns 25 in 2026.
Which is so insane to
will
me.
lead to the reveal of, yes, Pikmin 4 Switch 2 Edition. We still won't know why they decided to update the Switch version several months before the Switch 2 Edition, but oh stinking well. And this Switch 2 Edition will be wild. I know I said this is predictions, not a wish list, but let me indulge just for this one. Okay, so it introduces a new mode that's pretty much just FromSoft multiplayer, though it only works in caves. Here, players can request help from
How old is
other
Pikmin
players
4?
who
Oh, good question. It came out the same year Engage came out. Again, I keep thinking about how there are two games. There are two games that came out the same year that I cannot stop playing. I cannot stop playing these games. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know what the fuck happened, but
join and they can play online co-op together. If you're asking for help, you can select between just one boss, a sub-level, or even a whole cave. This does limit players to only 50 Pikmin each, 30 if the requesting player is on the hardest difficulty. And in fact, exclusive to this version, players can even bump up the difficulty of individual caves even further, which will naturally lead to a lot more requests. This can restrict item usage, increase enemies, introduce more hazards, have an even lower Pikmin cap, lots of stuff. And the reason for all this? The game's got a new kind of currency which can be used to buy all sorts of cosmetics for your captain, for Ochi, you can get even more decor Pikmin. There's even a new section of your base that acts like a little clubhouse, which you can decorate with statues and posters and stuff. Ochi sleeps there, Pikmin hang out there. Completing caves on higher difficulties nets you more rewards, and helping someone gives you half of their proceeds, so lots of risk and reward. Furthermore, this is my favorite part, the currency can also be used to send things to your friends during their own expeditions. For example, you can make it so the next time they enter a cave, or maybe even a specific cave, they're given 3 bombs to use. Or they have to fight the big boss twice. That's right, you can help them or hinder them in like a whole bunch of different ways. Tons of great bonuses, but also tons of debuffs and extra hazards and limitations, and it basically just becomes Pikmin 2. You never know when some horrible thing is gonna drop on you. All of this will make for a game with a very active online community, and something that's obviously really great to stream. Very wise, Nintendo. Very wise indeed. And after the
Who would
reveal,
stream that?
You're all gonna be like,
not me.
you're working on the next game, right? And they're just like, not gonna say anything, just crickets. Before we continue peering into
We don't care about Squarespace.
for your business, like a storefront.
Nobody cares about
something
Squarespace.
kind of both, like
Nobody
a
cares about
portfolio.
Squarespace. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Be powerful.
Nobody cares.
For a free trial, then site or domain. And now for today's recommendation. Arlo recommends. I finally updated my site with a bunch of backlogged recommendations, and soon I'll aim to utilize mouse. Elebits 2 will be far from the only 2026 game to utilize mouse controls. In fact, Nintendo will lean pretty hard on them and market them as a unique selling point for the Switch 2 early on.
Did I lose a
Whether
Pikmin?
that will work in the long run, I kinda have my doubts, but they'll give it their best
Who
shot.
died?
For instance, 2026 will finally see the reveal and release of a new Captain Toad game. I think many of you will agree with me when I say that Captain Toad Treasure Tracker was a relatively underappreciated gem. And now it's getting a big sequel, Captain Toad Treasure Brigade. The main single-player mode and the basic gameplay is largely the same, but the whole thing acts as something of a playground for Nintendo to play around with the Switch 2's unique or upgraded features. Nintendo knows that people are going to be playing this game on their nice big 4K TVs. They've basically become standard at this point. So the game runs at 4K resolution, or close enough to it after DLSS upscaling. Just a very, very nice, sharp image, and features big levels where you can see
I probably would
a
like
lot
Captain
of
Toad, yeah.
details at once as you move the camera around, with the option to zoom in and out if you're playing handheld, of course. It really encourages you to zoom out and try to take in as much detail as you can at once. Even more exciting though, the game also features a vastly improved co-op multiplayer mode. The Toad Brigade has been expanded and fleshed out with a bunch of fun team members, which adds a lot of character to the game, and of course you can play as your favorite. Here you can play with friends on huge, specially designed maps. Naturally, the higher level of detail visibility comes in really handy here, and players have to watch each other and work together to solve all sorts of puzzles. There are levels designed for 2, 4, and even 8. You heard me right, 8 players, and you can even play online. And as
Honestly,
promised, the game will also offer a lot of mouse-related fun. There are special levels that are really dark, and you play as the Toad with glasses, but he can't see
The Toad with glasses. He's me.
Directly, you use the mouse to light lights and guide him along and keep him safe. There are hidden object mini-games where you have to hunt for little details or spot the differences in these big levels. And obviously, you've got the return of the minecart sequences where, this time, you use the mouse to shoot the turnips. Plenty of other mini-games and modes too. Like the original, Captain Toad Treasure Brigade won't necessarily set the world on fire, but it will be one of the most pleasant surprises of Nintendo's 2026. But there will be another gimmick-centric game in 2026, for lack lack of a better term. And this one is even more surprising. The game is simply called Spark, and it is experienced almost entirely. Sometimes these predictions fly by a little too fast, so I'm gonna give you a second. Let this one sink in. It is experienced almost entirely through sound and feel. Yes, once more, you have heard me correctly. This game features very few visuals, just some very basic stuff happening on the screen, often nothing at all. The character is a simple spark of light. The player holds the Joy-Cons and ideally wears headphones and navigates using gyro and mouse controls.
Okay.
The main feedback comes in the form of sounds from the game and both vibrations and sounds from the Joy-Cons. Sometimes the Joy-Cons are moved through the air in a 3D space. Sometimes you glide them along flat surfaces in mouse mode. You interact with and guide Spark, who is full of personality and very animated despite not having visual features. You hunt for hidden objects, you operate devices, you explore areas. It's a very slow and careful, meditative kind of experience where you're just listening and feeling.
Hi, Nyasha.
You're invited to visualize what's going on and even map out the spaces around you, all in your mind. This is that Nintendo creative curveball magic at its best. This is them pulling out all the stops in terms of what the Switch 2's unique features can achieve. It's some of the ideas established in Welcome Tour, but cranked up to 11 with tons and
I don't know why the
tons
fuck
of
you had
new
to pay for
ideas
Welcome
on
Tour.
top
Are they
of those.
stupid?
One of those games that no one could have ever seen coming, yet somehow it just works. A lot of people will balk at the $50 price tag, but no sensible person will be able to deny that Nintendo really achieved something here. Created something very interesting and unique within the realm of video games. And of course, from the moment of the game's reveal, people will rally together with cries of Spark for Smash. And
Smash.
as a bonus future year prediction, Spark won't be a character, but will be included as an assist trophy. 2026 will see some cool new games, but we've got some more older games that'll get a little love as well. Mario Kart World will continue to see occasional updates throughout the year. Nintendo may never solve the open world issue, but they'll gradually turn the game into something more in line with fan expectations, I think. They will also deliver some substantial DLC. This is an idea that's been thrown around a lot because it's a little obvious, but man, it just makes too much sense. How do you add new tracks to a game where it's all contained within like one continent? Little islands. Nintendo is going to start populating the ocean surrounding the continent with islands containing a collection of new tracks each, along with some good old connective tissue, of course.
I'll take fucking
Each
anything
one
at
will
this
have
point.
Something of a theme with 4 original courses and 4 classic courses that either match the theme or are similar enough to fit well alongside it. Going along with the game's overall theme of travel, these islands will each be like vacation spots, which is exactly how all the marketing will present them. Even the long bridges leading to each island will be like fun little transitional courses with some visual Easter eggs. Okay, the bad news is that the Mario Kart World Island Tour Pass will be $40. Yeah.
Oh, dear God.
$40 on top of an
Oh,
already
God.
$80 game. However, 2 pieces of good news. One, like the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC, it will be completely free to NSO expansion pack members. Kind of a surprise, but a pleasant one. And 2, that price will cover every single course added over a 2-year period. 2026 will see the release of an island based on DK Bonanza and its many delicious layers. Think minecart rails and tracks that dive down through earth and rock. And as for the second 2026 DLC release, and here's where the prediction admittedly verges into pie-in-the-sky territory, an island that's basically a theme park for non-Mario properties. The Hyrule Castle and Animal Crossing and Splatoon tracks from Mario Kart 8 return, along with new tracks for Zelda and Splatoon and Xenoblade and Kirby.
Xenoblade.
Plus, fun IP references in between. We're not
Shulkin, guard blades. Oh, that is funny. Oh my God, wait, I like the idea. Where is it? Where is it? Where's that fucking awful yell at? Where's that awful scream? Shulk does the funny scream.
DLC characters outside of the Mario sphere, and in fact this island will feature the standard NPCs dressed up as other characters, so it really will be like a little theme park. And Nintendo will tease another 2 islands for 2027 as well, which will add up to 32 additional tracks, doubling the base game's number. Not bad. Then beyond the realm of Mario Kart, Nintendo will also give us that Super Mario Bros. Wonder Switch 2 edition. At the time of this recording, we still don't know what kind of content we can expect outside of the already announced multiplayer content. I'm starting to think it's not going to be anything substantial, but hey, let's go with the idea that it'll be a nice chunk of single-player stuff. Bowser Jr.'s Challenge will act as a kind of a soft Mario Galaxy movie tie-in, you know, Bowser Jr. The little scoundrel has hidden bizarro wonder flowers in a bunch of different levels. These create extra weird and extra challenging wonder effects, like playing upside down, or with a limited number of total jumps, or as other Mushroom Kingdom denizens, kind of like the Goomba levels. And when you beat each level, you unlock a badge for the effect, so you're kind of challenged to see how many of the other levels you can beat with each one. You know,
I like the idea.
I'll be honest, this Switch 2 edition will...
Bro, but I'm not like... When did you, like, stop playing Mario? I kind of realized at some point I just stopped liking Mario games. And I don't know when that... Not Mario games, but like 2D Mario platformers. I don't know when the fuck that happened, but I kind of just realized that, like, I don't really like these as much. Or rather, I don't feel like I'm motivated to play these. I need to move my base back. I guess I have to leave those bodies. That sucks. Oh well. After 3D World, I stopped. I need to play 3D World. That's like the one I feel like everyone talks about that, like, is probably worth the time. Is there like a... Is there like a 3D World, is there like a 3D World online or no? Okay, huge. All right. Wait. Is there online co-op? Okay, hold on.
Will kind of disappoint. It'll be fine, but out of all the stuff Mario Wonder could have used, most people will agree that multiplayer content and weird challenge badges weren't exactly high on the list. But, oh well. Here's a surprising update, though. Retro Studios will update Metroid Prime 4 in 2026, and they'll actually address a lot of people's problems with it. They'll make the desert music player unlockable without the amiibo. They'll give players the option to turn off NPC reminder chatter. We'll have the ability to fast travel to Miles for upgrades, and they'll even patch in a green crystal radar. Wow,
I'm surprised people don't give a fuck more about this game. Actually,
won't fix the game's underlying design issues, but it will help, and it'll show that they want to do right by the fans. Moving right along, 2026 will see the release of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and good news, reception will be good. Fans will pretty much unanimously agree that it's better than the first movie. Not like way better, still not like a great movie or anything, but you know, pretty good. More enjoyable overall. The only bummer is, with a big focus on the Galaxy games versus the more generic Mario theming of the first movie, it's not going to resonate quite as well with general audiences. It'll pull in $600 million at the box office. Certainly.
200 million at the box office. That's nice. Andrew, thank you so much for the bitch. 67 months. I appreciate it.
Not bad. Still a really big moneymaker, but a pretty big drop from, you know, $1 billion. Fortunately, a teaser for the Zelda movie will play at the beginning, so that'll be cool. Still no Pixar-style animated short, though. What the heck, Nintendo? Like, what is this? This is a prime opportunity. Other 2026 happenings, Nintendo will continue to be pretty good about not announcing stuff way too early. They'll announce like a handful of titles for 2027, but the biggest one will be ... Fade to Black. Picture a cinematic teaser where the camera sweeps over grassy fields, shows off gorgeous, otherworldly vistas. Fans are already screaming. They know what it is. Weird rock formations and like dinosaurs and stuff. And the camera rises up and up and up.
Sonic Frontiers 2, right?
Massive world. They don't need the logo. It's unnecessary at this point, but we get it anyway. Xenoblade Chronicles 4. That is all we get. But as with any good tease, it's enough. Moving on, despite my previous prediction that Nintendo will have to raise the price of the Switch 2 this year, I think the slowing sales and the ample supply on store shelves will allow them to stave off that increase for one more year. However, we will continue to see scary prices in other areas. Some accessories will go up again, and tragically, NSO and the expansion pack will finally increase in price. It's still not going to be bad at all for anyone capitalizing on the family plan, but it will be a little sad. And this right here leads us to perhaps the biggest question we may ask ourselves about Nintendo's 2026. Will things get better? Will their reputation improve, or at least stop degrading as quickly? Will the entire conversation still be dominated by doom and or gloom? Well, as for the Nintendo discourse, I see things stabilizing at least a little as the tech industry begins to buckle under the weight of the AI bubble, as the economy continues to struggle, and as prices for everything continue to go up everywhere. I think it may get a little harder to paint Nintendo as, like, the biggest bad guys, but things will continue to be kind of weird. And contributing to this weirdness, Nintendo will have a harder time convincing people to pick up a Switch 2 than they expected. 2025 was a year where Nintendo probably felt like they did everything right. Mario Kart at launch, big 3D DK made by the core Mario team soon after, several Switch 2 editions, including the latest Pokemon game. Yet beyond that really excellent launch, people didn't really feel compelled to take the plunge. And unfortunately, this feeling that the Switch 2 just isn't quite worth it yet will be a hard one to shake through most of 2026. I've outlined some pretty cool games here, but where are the bombshells? The tentpole franchises? The timing of Tears of the Kingdom probably means that Zelda is a long way off. New Horizons Switch 2 edition probably means no new Animal Crossing for a while. Same with Splatoon Raiders. DK Bonanza might even mean
what
we
the
won't see a new
fuck?
3D Mario anytime soon.
They can die.
And we have no idea what their plans are for Smash. Honestly, I predict some sluggish Switch 2 sales. Not disastrously terrible, but not great, with everyone forced to be so much more careful with their money, with the lack of must-have games, with the overall hype levels nowhere near the original Switches. I think it will be a period of waiting. Nintendo waiting for the sales to pick up, customers waiting to be convinced, investors waiting to see if they should.
I am down. I am down with that. I am down. Me when I'm Invis and I see my other support getting dove. Exactly. Exactly. They're just gonna have to die. It's just too fucking bad. Hi Minion. Hi Sparks. Good evening. I am playing through all of my Shipwreck Tales, trying to do it as fast as possible and as few days as possible. And we're watching a video about 2026 predictions on the Switch.
Will continue
or from
to
Nintendo, I
affect
guess.
Nintendo's stock prices, which will drive the idea that the Switch 2 is struggling, which will affect things even further, which will indeed lead to some doom. And yes, maybe even gloom. However, I got 3 words. Pokemon Gen 10.
That scares me. I'm so scared of that. I'm so scared of that. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I'm scared. Are you scared? I'm scared. I am so scared of that. I'm terrified. I'm terrified of that. No. I'm terrified of such a thing. Oh! Oh God! Oh God, what if it's bad? Again? No, I mean, not bad, but like, what if it's like, what if there's no budget? No, there's gonna be budget. There has to be, right? There's gonna be budget. Oh God.
Never underestimate the power of Pokemon.
I'm gonna underestimate the power of Pokemon. Yeah.
We'll see the release of the 10th generation of Pokemon and the 30th anniversary of the series. And those people waiting for a solid reason to pick up a Switch 2, many, many, many of them will be convinced on that day. The biggest Pokemon game ever. The first one built from the ground up for Switch 2. Available nowhere else. Yeah, it's gonna be a big launch. Those store shelves will suddenly seem a bit more sparse. And it may not be quite enough of a sales spike to completely offset the rest of the year's slow sales, but in the span of a month or so, the Switch 2 will be much closer to Nintendo's initial forecasts. Will Pokemon get some long-term momentum going for the system, or will this be an isolated spike? Well, that would be a 2027 prediction, and those are illegal. As for the game itself, I don't want to go into detail because I do believe the leaks to be accurate, and I don't want to spoil anything for anyone avoiding all that, but I would like to make my wildest prediction yet. Out of all of these videos, I have never gone as far out on a limb as I am going right now. I, Arlo, predict that Pokemon Gen 10 will be good. Gen 10.
This man is so courageous. How could he say that? How could he say that? Oh my God. How could he say that? That's... Are you... Good!
Will be solid. It'll run well enough. Not perfect, but it's not going to struggle like crazy or anything. And it's not going to be the best looking game in the world. Probably still like a little bit behind, but it'll look good enough, you know, look pretty good. Nothing about it will feel excessively cheap or lazy. It will act as the culmination of a lot of the big ideas introduced throughout the Switch generation. So it's going to feel decently feature and content rich. It will be $80. It absolutely
$80!
A $40.
$80! Oh God! $80! Oh, $80! Oh! Oh God! $80! Oh my God! $80! $80! $80. $80. Ooh, that's funny. Are there any big games coming out that might also come out on Switch too? Oh God. But I would want to get like a Switch 2 and then play like, because if it's on everything, I'm just gonna want to play it on PC because I know it's just gonna be better, right? Unless it's like a puzzle game. I don't know how I'm supposed to get this, actually. I think I have to wait. Yeah, I think I have to wait. Go here. Oh my God, hurry, hurry, hurry. Oh my God. Please, 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 hurry, hurry, hurry. Okay, I think they should switch spots, so... And then I should go this way, right? Yep. Bye, sweetheart. Yeah, anyway.
$1 expansion pass before the game is even out. But the DLC will be announced as the big release for the following year, rather than as cheap supplemental content like Mega Dimension. And yes, there will be much wailing and gnashing of teeth over all these prices, but the consensus will be that this is the best Pokemon has been in generations, maybe ever. And being a Switch 2 owner will finally feel kind of exciting. Oh, and of course, Pokemon Champions will release in 2026 as well, and it'll be crazy successful. So between a genuinely good new generation and a new competitive standard, Pokemon fans will be a little poorer, but they will nevertheless be eating well. And after yet another complete no-show at the Game Awards, Nintendo will wrap up their 2026. This predictions video comes with a new feature. Real quick, I just want to predict the Metacritic scores for all of the 2026 Nintendo games that have been announced at the time of this recording. Mario Tennis Fever will be fine, 71, business as usual. Pokemon Pokopia will be a real solid success with 91. Rhythm Heaven Groove will be good, but lack content, so 72. Tomodachi Life Living the Dream will be solid and please old fans and new players alike, 83. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book will please fans well enough, but not...
Oh, I forgot about this. Oh my god, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book? I totally forgot about that. Do you remember that? I didn't remember that. Did I pick 5 here? I'm not sure if I did. I'm such an idiot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I mean, yeah.
All critics, 75. Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave will do okay with critics, 84. Duskbloods will review pretty well, 86. And Splatoon Raiders will also be a solid critical win, another 84. And finally, let's go over my predictions for 2025 and see how it did. Remember that last year's was a very scaled back production without a ton of wacky predictions, but predictions were indeed made. I predicted that the Switch 2 would be called the Switch 2. Nailed
Wow.
it. Yes. Oh, I'm so good at this. I was, however, wrong about the exact timing of the reveal. I was correct about the June release date. I was wrong about the $400 price. In retrospect, that was probably too optimistic. I was also wrong about the system shipping with a pack-in game. I mean, there was a pack-in game, but they forgot to pack it in. Whoopsie. I predicted big things for that mysterious C button that did not materialize. I called it the Connect button and said it would be for connecting and streaming video to a dock, more seamlessly connecting with other systems. None of that happened. Just a chat button, turns out. I was right that Nintendo would play up the Switch 2 as a social system, but that was literally inevitable. I predicted that Animal Crossing would be the big launch title. That was incorrect. I was right that a graphically enhanced version of Tears of the Kingdom would be a launch title, and that Nintendo would lean on these kinds of pseudo remasters. I pretty much nailed that, especially combined with the predictions from my big Switch 2 prediction video. I mean, I got the paid upgrade right and everything. But of course, I hadn't considered that they would throw Breath of the Wild in there too, or that some of these would get new content. I was wrong that Metroid Prime 4 would not be cross-gen, but correct that Pokemon Legends ZA would be. I predicted a Mario baseball game for Switch 2. That did not happen. We got tennis instead. Nintendogs also did not happen. No idea why. Really, where the heck is Nintendogs? Also, 3D Mario was not the holiday title. We actually didn't get any kind of exclusive holiday title. Also really not sure why. I kind of thought Nintendo had been planning this launch for like a long time. I don't know, whatever. We did not get a remaster of Smash Ultimate or Splatoon 3, but Splatoon 3 did get a performance patch, so I give myself 5% credit. Nintendo did not announce Luigi's Mansion 4 for 2026 in 2025, and I didn't predict it this year for 2026 or 7. I'm probably gonna save it for next year's predictions video. So if 2026 actually is the year when Nintendo announces Luigi's Mansion 4 during this gap when I'm not predicting it, I will be upset. But also very, very happy, obviously. They also did not announce a new 3D Kirby game. We got Star-Crossed World instead. half points? I mean, that's still new 3D Kirby content, right? It's more accurate than most of my predictions. And that's it, but I do want to give myself one last partial pat on the back. The previous year, I predicted that we would get a Splatoon Universe spin-off game. We didn't get that in 2024, though we did get a Splatoon Universe spin-off game announcement in 2025. I got the genre wrong, but I did accurately predict that Nintendo would spin off the series. I think that ain't too bad. That is it. We are done predicting, which is good because the prediction machine is just about out of gas. And my predicting socks desperately need a washing. Give me your own long, deep...
I think I don't hate those. I don't hate those predictions. I think I predict that I might not give as much of a fuck this year. I predict I predict Pokemon will be fun and I will play it for a while. Will it be good? Will it be good? Please tell me I got everyone. Oh my god. Why the fuck? Okay, they're on the way. Okay, that's fine. What needs to happen next? I need to open this way up. I need to expand my blue population. I need... You need to go here. Okay, so in the meantime... Damn. What else do I need to do? You need to break that open. Let's make our way this way. Anything else I need to do? I need to make my way down. There's a part right here that I could go get actually if I move my base. But then it's gonna take 20 years for my Pikmin to get back. Actually, you know what? That's fine. Let's go this way. Pokemon Champions? Oh yeah! I forgot about Pokemon Champions. You're so right. You're so right. I forgot about Pokemon Champions. Oh my god. That's a brilliant idea, actually. Claire. Zap it.
I am particularly excited about today's episode of Claire Recreates because it is an actual candy that I like and voluntarily eat. It's a go-to movie theater candy. Today I am recreating Whoppers. I love malted flavor. And there is something about the texture of like this inside of the Whopper where it like melts, it dissolves on your tongue, but it's like kind of rough. I have two movie theater candies. I have Whoppers and peanut M&Ms. It's happened to me on more than one occasion that I dropped an entire box of Whoppers during the preview and I could hear them all roll down like the slope of the movie theater.
Oh.
So upset. I lost all my Whoppers.
Aww.
I love it so much, even though I know that the coating is gross and it's not chocolate, but I eat them anyway. And so today I'm really excited because if I can nail that dissolving texture on the inside, that's like super dry and crunchy, and then I give it like some real chocolate coating, huge success. It just says the original malted milk balls. It doesn't even say like in chocolatey coating or something. It doesn't even make a claim about what it is. The carton is so fun. I love the carton. Do you think they stole this from our show, the smiley face? I think so. It has a kind of like fun retro feel. I love the label and the font and everything and the type. It's very pleasant. It like makes me feel calm, the color. Let's open it up. Cartons are very nostalgic. It's like opening up the little milk carton in the school cafeteria. Come on. There we go. This was me in the movie theater, and then it was just like, all down like 20 rows. They're very different sizes, something I never would have thought to look at. Those are not uniform. Makes them feel already off the bat kind of good. Don't have to all be exactly the same. They're also like not perfectly spherical, also makes me feel good. Here are the ingredients: sugar, corn syrup solids, whey, parentheses milk, hydrogenated palm kernel oil. Palm kernel oil, cocoa, contains 2% or less of malted milk, and then in parentheses, barley malt, wheat flour, milk, salt, baking soda, close parentheses, corn syrup, confectioner's glaze, sorbitan, tristearate, lecithin, parentheses, soy, salt, artificial flavor, tapioca dextrin, calcium carbonate. It's not like the list is so terrible, it's just that it doesn't have chocolate in it, so it's like mostly oil. It's like cocoa added to hydrogenated. Okay, it's not a great ingredient list, I guess. The main ingredients are sugar and like hydrogenated oils, but what's the most interesting is the malted milk component. So that includes barley malt, wheat flour, milk, salt, and baking soda. It's very interesting to me. So that one ingredient, malted milk, is kind of that's gonna be my main starting point. The key with Whopper, I don't like to bite them. I like to melt off the coating, which smells pretty fast. It does not taste good. I think what I like about it, I never really like put my finger on, is it's kind of salty. And what I like about malt is it is savory. It's really good. And I love, it dissolves so quickly. And so,
The fuck?
sometimes you hit like an air pocket in it. That part's really good. Let me just cut one open and see. One of my goals is gonna be to keep the chocolate coating really thin and really focus on the core. So it just kind of like shattered. It's super dry, and there's all these tiny little air pockets in there. Like, there's no moisture at all. They're really satisfying looking. I mean, it is sort of one of the rare ones that like actually looks like the illustration on the box. I'm not trying to be so precise. They're really different. They're kind of like somewhere around 1.5 centimeters diameter. Some are a little more, some are a little less. And the coating is 1 to 2 millimeters. Not too much to say in this drawing. These little dots are little air bubbles, little air pockets. I really like this episode already, not just because I like Whoppers, but because this part's easy. I drew this, and there were only 2 measurements that I had to take, which is great. To me, it looks like this, like a machine just like was able to take a mixture that sort of holds its shape and is thick and like makes a little pebble out of it, and then it goes onto this conveyor belt and kind of like sets and bakes or dehydrates. So that's kind of in line with my idea and like thinking around how I'm gonna approach it, and I'm gonna make my game plan. There's only 2 steps here. Step 1 is make malted cores. Step 2 is coat in tempered milk chocolate. In order to achieve this texture, where my brain immediately
what
went
the
is meringue.
fuck?
Dehydrated meringue, because it's a similar texture. Like when you bite into a crunchy meringue, it's that same sensation of lots of tiny air pockets and the dissolving texture. So there's no egg whites on this list, but that's where I'm going to start. And then I want to obviously achieve the flavor, that malted flavor. I think what I want to do is create a malted milk dough of sorts, a soft, not too wet dough. And then I want to incorporate meringue into that dough, form it into spheres, and dehydrate it. Almost like a cookie dough in a sense. I have my milk chocolate here. I found this milk chocolate at the store. It has a high percentage of cocoa. Chocolate liquor, milk, cane sugar, cocoa butter, vanilla, soy lecithin. So I'm gonna put this off to the side because this is my last step.
Bro,
I have some
what?
corn syrup here, so an Italian meringue is a meringue where it's stabilized with like a cooked sugar syrup. I'm gonna use a little bit of corn syrup for that. I'm gonna grab regular sugar. I'll grab my scale. So baking soda, I thought that if I incorporate baking soda and maybe powder
Bro, where are they
into this
fucking
dough,
go?
that it is going to give me a little bit of a reaction. No, you know what? I want soda, not powder. Now that I think about it.
Are they stupid? How the fuck did that even happen?
To aerate it a little bit and give me that, like, those tiny little air pockets.
Oh!
Starting organic U.S. barley turns whole grain complex carbs into sugars. It is water extracted and concentrated to make syrup. So this is going to have a lot of that malted flavor. It is a type of liquid sweetener. My idea is to use a combination of sugar, corn syrup, and barley malt syrup to make my Italian meringue, to cook a syrup, to then add to the egg whites. It smells so good. Smell how malty it is. Right?
Yeah.
It really it gives a little bit of that. Now I'm gonna also grab some regular milk. So I have sugar, egg whites, corn syrup, barley malt syrup. This is my meringue. Then over here I have what is going to become my dough, and then I'll fold them together. I want to try cooking this a little bit. So I've used enough malted milk, and I know that there is some flour content in here, like some wheat content. I know enough to know that this behaves like a starch, and that it has like a thickening power. If I cooked it with liquid, I think it is going to release starch and create a dough. But this is just a test. So I'm going to start with small quantities. So let's say I'm going to start with 50 grams of malted milk powder, and I'm going to give it a pinch of salt. I am going to incorporate the baking soda into the meringue, or I incorporate.
Hoping to get the little bubbles in it or something?
Yeah, in addition to the air from the meringue. I do sort of have to give it something to react to. Baking soda needs an acid. There's a little bit of, what's the acid in milk? Lactic acid. But milk is basic, really. Is barley malt syrup acidic?
Doesn't have flavor.
No, but if I already have the barley malt syrup in the meringue, then that's kind of the acid that I'm adding. So I'm gonna do milk, not very much. And let's see what happens when I cook this together. I just need to bring it to the point where the starch is gelatinized, so like doesn't even have to boil. I'll just kind of warm it up until it thickens. It's almost like I'm making a roux. That's what it looks like. It's starting to thicken. So this came up to a simmer. In no way did it form a dough, even remotely. It did thicken a bit, but really nothing happened. I think I need to add some wheat flour to this for it to actually do what I want it to do. So that was 50 grams of milk, 50 grams of malted milk. Let me add a little bit of flour. All right, so I don't need a lot of this, I don't think. That's 15 grams. And get it cooking again.
You're hoping to use something you can hold in your hand.
Yeah, something that will hold its shape. So this is now thickening because I've kind of right at the simmering temp. Now we have something much thicker. I'm gonna get it out of the hot saucepan because I wanna look at it. So here is this mixture. I wanna get it cooled down. My concern is that I don't wanna add more starch because in some ways I don't wanna make it so thick that I can't fold meringue into it. So in some ways I think what I need is like a filler, like a kind of, like in my mind I was like, if I like mix almond flour into it, for example, it'll be like the rock and the concrete mix. You know what I mean? The big round.
Why don't you just add more flour?
Dude.
Or add more powdered milk. Or the malted milk. This is still warm, so I want this to cool. Tastes like malted milk. All right, I'm gonna see what happens if I mix in some dry milk into this. It's like, are the starches actually hurting me in this process?
Seems like that's getting goopier than where you're at.
Right, I think I don't want that. I guess one idea is something called dacquoise, which is a type
Dacquoise?
It's like a meringue that has nuts folded in, ground nuts folded in, forms like a sponge cake, that type of texture. And that's kind of what I'm wondering if I can make, but instead of folding in ground nuts, can I just fold in a bunch of the malted milk? Can we cut so I can think this through? I don't know if you want me thinking on camera the whole time. New plan. So, rather than, I think, get tripped up on the idea of making this like meringue lightened dough that I can form into spheres, I'm going to go the meringue route and worry about shaping later. And who knows, I might even be able to add enough malted milk powder that I can shape it. We'll see. Let's just try it. I'm gonna move on to meringue. I still need my burner.
I would try
I'm
it.
glad I didn't
If everybody else does, I mean, yeah.
on that. Let's try making some Italian meringue. I kind of need my stand mixer for this. I'm gonna get my oven on 200, which is really the best temperature for dehydrating meringue.
Why don't you use your dehydrator?
We don't have a dehydrator.
Au contraire.
What does that mean? The Breville?
It has a dehydrator setting.
It does?
Yeah.
What? I can't believe I haven't been using this. I had no idea. Yes, how long have you known about this?
Whole time.
The whole time. Wow, can't believe I didn't know that. So the plan is, I'm gonna make an Italian meringue. And I'm gonna replace some of the sugar with this barley malt syrup, which is also the sweetener. Then I'm going to fold in a mixture, my dry ingredients, which are like my malted milk powder and a little bit of baking soda. And the idea is that I'm going to have this reaction that occurs between the meringue, which is a little acidic, because I'm going to also add a little cream of tartar, the baking soda, it's going to aerate, I'm going to pipe it, bake it. What could go wrong? So I'm going to start just getting my ingredients measured.
What is this music?
Call it 15 grams or so barley malt syrup. And then I'm going to do 15 grams of corn syrup. Now the challenge here is working with a really small quantity of meringue. And now adding enough sugar to get this to 100 grams total. Now I need to add a little bit of water to this. I'm going to add like 2 tablespoons or so. So I'm going to get this over low heat just to get everything dissolved. I'm going to bring this up to a boil. I want to cook this to 240 Fahrenheit. As soon as this is dissolved, I'm gonna stop stirring. While that's coming up to a boil, which it already is, I have 2 large egg whites here. I'm gonna get these whipping. And to this, I'm gonna add a pinch of salt and a little bit of cream of tartar. Call it 1/8 of a teaspoon. Not even 1/8, call it a 16th. So basically, before I stream this syrup into the egg whites, I need the egg whites to be pretty foamy. I'm gonna grab my pastry brush so I can wipe down the sides of the saucepan. It's at 225 right now. So I turned off my egg whites, those are nice and foamy. My syrup is coming up to temp, 235, 236, 237, 238, 239. I'm gonna call it 240. So I'm gonna get my mixer going. We're gonna stream this in. There's coffee in the pot if you want some more. So I poured in my syrup, and I'm gonna whip this until it's very, very stiff peaks. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna get my dry ingredients together. I'm gonna try 100 grams of malted milk and a quarter.
Did they actually add a hard mode? Yeah, they did.
Soda. And I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to this too. This is looking pretty good. One of the ways you know that meringue is getting very stiff while it's beating is if it starts to like ball up inside the whisk like this. So here I have this really, really stiffly beaten Italian meringue. Pretty firm, but it could be a little bit more. All right, so just another maybe 20 seconds of whipping this. Archie, here's you get your cat. Bad kitty. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, oh, I'm so excited. I feel like this is gonna work. Not only do I feel like it's gonna work, I think it's gonna be really tasty. So here's my meringue. Here's my mix of dry. I'm just gonna add it all together and see what happens. So now gentle folding, and hopefully there's a reaction happening between the baking soda that I added and the meringue. And I can tell that it's actually getting a little aerated. It has that look to it. I maybe should have sifted. I think it's okay. It like got a little clumpy. I don't want to stir too much. So here's what the mixture looks like.
Is it good hard or bullshit hard?
It smells good. It smells really good.
Color's pretty close. I think it's gonna be
A little of both.
One thing
Yeah,
I
I'd say a little both.
do is I could pipe everything too big. So my idea is to pipe hemispheres or something close to it and then stick them together basically. So I need to really pipe very, very small pieces. This is very thick, which is good. This is like way more of this mixture than I'm sure I'm gonna need. Using my Rio Whopper as a guide, I'm gonna just pipe like tiny amounts of this. These are not really the shape that I want them to be. They're always gonna have a flat side, you know what I mean?
These almost seem Whopper size.
Well, at least I have room to remove. As I learned not very long ago, our toaster oven has a dehydrate setting which I've never used. And basically it just turns the fan on really high and puts it at a low temp. So I'm gonna try that out. A normal size meringue would take a couple hours to dehydrate, but these are small, hoping with the fan it goes faster. I may have to just kind of wait and see. Whoppers dehydrate take 2. They're definitely not dry yet, but I can pick them up. They're getting there. Ah, I'm so excited. I think they look really good. They're hardening, but there's still that kind of elastic marshmallow texture. You guys, I'm not just saying this because this is my only shot, and I'm not doing it again. Come too soon. But they really like dissolve in your mouth. They're also not that sweet, which is kind of cool. I'm gonna put it back in. They just have to go longer. My little meringue droplets have been dehydrating for almost 2 hours. I'm gonna pull them out. I increase the temperature a little bit toward the end. So I just wanna let these cool off a little bit.
Since they're still soft, could you like pre-shake them?
And like roll one. I think it's too hard given the flat bottom. Okay, but theoretically, if we put two together, looks round enough to me. This should only take like 5 minutes. Maybe we'll come back in 5. Once they're cool.
What are the main changes? They made all enemy health bars bigger,
which was type
and
too tall. I didn't really make hemispheres. I made little hats. And now I need to shape them. So I was just using a pair of scissors to snip off the peak on a lot of them.
And
some of them collapsed
they limited the amount of
bit,
Pikmin that you can
but they're
carry.
still really airy. So I'm gonna create pairs, glue them together with more meringue. These are good together. Part of the problem is that I'm kind of running out of like nicer, rounder pieces. One more for safety. So I'm gonna get these back in the dehydrator. Look, they're rolling around like they're little spheres. That's a good thing. I'm actually kind of excited. I'm going to get my chocolate into my bowl. I'm gonna make a double boiler with it. So I have this water, it's under boiling. It's just on warm. I don't know if I'm gonna need all of this chocolate. These are 3 ounces each. I don't need a lot. I just
Two
need
more
enough
and I get a
depth
free
of
waffle
chocolate
cone.
to dip each
Zai
individual
bu hui
piece.
rang shang
At the same
nuo
time,
bei
it's
fu yan
easier
bu
to put
rang
chocolate
jen
in
sin
larger
bei
quantities,
chu
I
ji
think.
mei
So
yu
we'll
yu
see.
yan de
There's a
ren shang
3-step
dan mei
process
yi
for
bu wo yu.
tempering. You bring the temperature up
Well, that was
over
beautiful.
the double boiler. You bring it back down.
Ethiopian or wherever that was. So thank you so much, Fiance. I appreciate it.
I'm going
Oh my
to
god.
enrobe each sphere so that I'm not like letting it set on a flat surface. So one idea I'm having is to
Oh, that's Astra.
stab a
Oh,
sphere
okay.
with a toothpick, dip it, let it drip, and then turn it right side up.
Oh my god, Pikmin.
Yeah?
But
Okay.
won't you have a hole in
So
the
one-
chocolate?
What's that? Yeah, yes, Cal. Yes. Let's just pretend like no one sees it. I'm gonna need a lot of toothpicks. Yeah, 30, I guess. Maybe this sauce. Well, actually, it touching the water is maybe not the worst thing. I really like tempering using the induction burner because I can be really precise about my temperature. So I have my water underneath, and actually the bowl is touching the water, which is kind of key here. Normally you don't want that. But the idea is that if the water is the exact temp, the bowl will be the exact temp, and then what's inside will be that temp. So I'm at 115 Fahrenheit on the chocolate. I want to get this to 120.
What about seed chocolate?
Don't say that.
You're supposed to throw seed chocolate.
No, this is a non-seed method. Sorry, I forgot. I got so confused. I'm not using seed.
Okay.
I'm not using seed. So I'm at 117.
I just didn't know you could do it without.
Yeah. Seed is one method, but yeah. Okay, so I'm at 118. 120 is the first temp. Now it's gonna come off my burner. I wanna stir pretty vigorously. I'm also gonna get some cooler water in here. And get this on like super, super low. Now stir this until it cools down to 81. It's kind of hot in here, so I don't think it's gonna happen right away. I'm only at 108. Why is it so hot in here? Do I need to turn, should I turn this air on? All right, that might help actually. The chocolate is in the 80s. I need it to be to 82. I'm at 84 right now. So very
Is that the
close.
baby I hear in the
I took out
background? Oh my
course.
god.
Come on.
Oh.
Can I get an 82?
I hear you!
This is just lukewarm
Ah!
water. So back on the water. 86 is what's called the working temp. That's the temperature that I want to hold it at to be able to dip everything. So right now I'm at 83, 85, 86. Let's see what the water temp is.
Nice.
So the water temp is a little warm. If I want to hold it, I should really have the water be around 86. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is tempered. And now I'm going to start dipping. Okay, ready? Oh my god, okay, well, sorry. Oh, but we're covered. I know it's tempered because it's already starting to harden. Oh my god, how good do my Whoppers look? I think my chocolate coating is probably thicker than in the original, but my cores are not that sweet, so I'm like, maybe that's not a bad thing. This dipping method is working out pretty well. So get them coated, stab. They are starting to harden, but I want to speed it up a little bit, so I'm going to get them in the fridge, and probably just 5 minutes is all they'll need, and then I'll take them off, and we'll take a look and taste.
Are you feeling good about it?
Feeling so good about this. So in just the amount of time it took to reset, the chocolate is set. I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna get them off their toothpicks, flick them off. So obviously they have a little puncture mark, but they look really good. Oops, are they not super set? Oh my God, let's ignore that. You gotta wrap it up. I maybe grabbed them a little too soon because there is like a little bit of chocolate that's not quite set, but they look really good and we're gonna pick strategic angles. So I'm gonna take one. Oh my God. The chocolate is not set yet. But, wow. In some ways, they're really similar, and in some ways, I made something totally different. The chocolate enhances them so much. The chocolate shell is much thinner than I thought it would be, based on the kind of dipping. First of all, visually, it's so close, so similar. They are actually not as malty as I thought they would be, but I think that's partly because the chocolate is—
Did she actually do it? Oh my God.
In the original, it's not really like chocolate. The core has the crunch and the lightness, but is so much more delicate and dissolves like much faster, which is kind of nice. It's a weirdly like a much lighter version compared to the original, but I think if you handed it to someone, they'd be like, wow, like when did Whoppers get fancy, kind of. Like it very clearly reads as a Whopper. Mostly because it has like that, all that malty flavor and that crunch when you bite into it. I'm sad I only made 30 because I could really eat a lot of these. I'm gonna cross off my steps. I did the cores, I coated it in tempered milk chocolate. It's always fun when there's a recreates where it's like I can kind of continually move forward and I don't have to back up and like redo something or spin my wheels. That makes it really satisfying. I wouldn't make them again because they're a lot of work and it's annoying, but in theory I would make them again because it worked really well. And it was fun. Way better when you put them in your own chocolate and make them yourself. This is one for the books, another recreate. I promise we're gonna get back to Kinder Bueno. Not what I'm dreading, frankly. So thank you so much for watching. We'll bring you more episodes of Claire Recreates and other regular episodes of Dessert Person. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Look at the camera.
I have to.
Kind of. Look near the camera. A little higher up. More like down. Swipe it down. And then the one on your right a little closer in. Yeah.
Are they covering where my eyes are?
Yep. Now they are.
Fun.
And now make your eyebrows go up and down.
This fat bitch. Ugh. Okay, that's fine. Honey buns!
On today's episode of Claire Recreates, I am recreating something I've never had before. I am recreating honey buns.
Honey buns! Okay, I got idler and
When
boots.
I
That's good.
see it in the package, I was like, oh, it's just like a cinnamon roll. But it's not.
No, I didn't
learned
watch
in my
this
research
one.
that, in fact, it is fried. And then I was sort of like, this is a brilliant idea. It's like a cinnamon bun donut, which is a great idea and feels like very internet-y, even though this is like a much older thing. So then I was like, actually, that'd be kind of fun and I'm excited to make it. They look enormous on the box. Oh, product enlarged to show detail. Okay, there you go.
Well, there you go.
Definitely not.
Hi, Felix. What are you doing on a fucking counter? Get
They're not
down.
smaller
Oh my
than I
God.
thought they would be just based on the picture.
Okay, I've actually never had a cat that gets on the counter. Like, thank God, because I thought about it for 1 second. Like, cat paws, they're really cute, right? But then I was downstairs and I was doing like laundry or whatever, and then my cat went to go like pee or whatever, and like, or like something, and you know, they were in the litter box, and I don't know why I didn't piece this together, but like, they're all up in there like in the litter box. I don't know why I didn't think about that, but I was like, oh, that's not very sanitary. That's not very should not be on my counters.
It looks tasty. Like the glaze is kind of set. It's a nice thin coating. Ooh, ooh. It smells like a donut with a ton of chemicals in it. There's some sort of like off aromas that I think are probably like preservatives. I don't really get any honey or cinnamon aromas at all. But it really does smell like donut. Let's take a closer look. It's very, very light for its size. The glaze is like a little tacky, so it's mostly set, but like, you know, still some moisture in there. There's kind of a top and a bottom. On the bottom, I see like a ring
Why'd I
of
do that?
cinnamon,
What? That was so
or what
bad.
I'm assuming is cinnamon. It looks like it's mostly glazed on the top, but the bottom has sort of some coating on it. It probably runs like on a conveyor belt under like a waterfall of glaze, and then some of it kind of like drips around the sides and catches along the bottom edge. So it's not separating so easily along the seams of the spiral, which is kind of telling me that like it doesn't have much of a filling. And like when you pull it apart at that spiral, it really doesn't pull apart. That's the little line of cinnamon, or whatever the filling is. I keep saying cinnamon, I'm sure that's what it is. The crumb, not surprisingly, is very uniform. It's pretty tight. Let me just finally taste it. It's very, very tender. Mostly the flavor of the glaze. It's like confectioner sugar. Literally almost no honey flavor at all. I get no cinnamon. I just get glazed flavor. Like it tastes like a glazed donut. Not a particularly good one. Which, you know, it's like the thing about donuts is they're best fresh, so it's like it tastes like a stale donut. Not that stale, but it's super light, it's super tender. The flavor is so flat and very, very sweet. Ingredients: enriched bleached flour, parentheses, wheat flour, barley malt, niacin, reduced iron, thiamine mononitrate, vitamin B1, riboflavin, vitamin B2, folic acid, close parentheses, water, sugar, palm oil, dextrose, palm and soybean oils with TBHQ and citric acid to protect flavor, yeast. Contains 2% or less of each of the following: cornstarch, mono and diglycerides, soy flour, non-fat dry milk, salt, dried eggs, leavening, parentheses, sodium acid, pyrophosphate, baking soda, close parentheses, wheat starch, datum, D-A-T-E-M, never.
The fuck is datum?
Preservatives, parentheses, calcium propionate, sorbic acid, potassium sorbate, close parentheses, dried honey, soy lecithin, calcium carbonate, calcium stearoyl lactylate, agar,
What?
cinnamon, there we go, natural and artificial flavors.
Why didn't she use Death versus that Neo shoe?
Citric acid, soybean oil, cocoa.
Don't talk about that.
enzymes,
Don't talk about
titanium
Neo shoe.
dioxide, parentheses, color. Ascorbic acid, calcium sulfate, hydrogenated soybean oil, calcium
Don't mention that
peroxide,
idiot to me
annatto
again.
Extract, parentheses, color, turmeric extract, parentheses, color. It's such a long list. The only thing I'm taking away from 2% or less list is that it lists dried honey and cinnamon. I'm not paying attention to any of like the chemicals because it's just not relevant. And basically it is a product made from flour, water, sugar, and other forms of fat. So in this case, palm oil and soybean oil and yeast. The cocoa is like listed very far down on the list. I don't understand the cocoa. It might be that it's part of the what's inside the swirl that has like no, like lends no flavor. I'm ignoring the cocoa. I don't think that we need cocoa in here. So lengthwise, it's about 9 centimeters. Crosswise, about 7.5. I want to sort of be able to anticipate like how big do I make them. The thickness is about 2 centimeters. Each kind of layer of dough is like between 1 and 1.5 centimeters, obviously after cooking. So one of the things that happens with cinnamon rolls is when you roll up dough and you cut it, you roll it with some tension to it. And so what happens as it rises is it expands, and sometimes you get a kind of like coning effect of the layers kind of puffing up. And that's not happened here at all. It's very, very flat. I mean, there's the bottom, which is almost entirely flat because it's resting on that. And then there's the top where like there is not, like the center of the spiral has not risen up out of the center at all, which to me tells me like it's not really rolled particularly tightly. It's like it's been glued together. So that's just something that I want to think about. Here is actually like the seam. I see a kind of dusting along the seam here, but there's like, inside of it, it's almost totally undetectable. There's nothing in there almost. If that is,
That looks like
cinnamon,
shit.
just like
I used to really love these. I used to have these like every day.
cinnamon. My first thought was like brioche, but I'm thinking actually that It's too rich, and what I really should prioritize
It's too rich?
in addition to
Me in
like,
America.
honey flavor and cinnamon flavor, is texture, like getting something really light. And so I'm thinking more like milk bread. Less enriched than brioche, but still like extremely light and tender. Definitely we need to start with the dough because that has to rise. So number 1 is dough and then rise. 2, form the buns, and then those are
Rise, my
3 is
friends!
going to be frying and glazing. I'm gonna combine this as one step because when you do glazed donuts, you really want to glaze them hot. And I feel like it's gonna be really easy to introduce honey flavor in the glaze. I'm just gonna add honey to like a confectioner sugar kind of milk glaze. For the dough, I have some all-purpose flour and I have it divided because this, I'm gonna cook this a little bit with the milk first. And then we're gonna add everything together. I'm gonna grab my mixer. I grabbed some honey, so in the recipe that I'm using, I'm gonna replace there's a little bit of sugar in the dough. And that helps to just like get the yeast going. It's kind of a flavor enhancer. I'm gonna replace some of it with honey. So I have that. I have a little cinnamon for the swirl, eggs, some salt, basic stuff for a kind of enriched yeast dough. So milk bread is a Japanese style, very like light enriched bread. And it uses this method of cooking some of the flour in the liquid that I believe was adopted from like a Chinese technique, but really has become so popular through Japanese milk bread. So I'm going to put my 3/4 of a cup of milk. I'm going to get that in my saucepan. At the moment, this is just on low. I'm going to increase the heat, but first I want to incorporate the flour, so I'm going to whisk the flour and kind of gradually add it just to prevent lumps into the liquid. I'm just using a small whisk. Again, you don't want any big lumps to form. So we're going to cook this into basically like a smooth paste. So I'm going to turn off the heat now. So it's starting to thicken. And here I have this mixture. I often describe it as like it'll look like smooth mashed potatoes. I'm going to scrape this mixture into the stand mixer. I have to let that cool, but I'm going to stir it so it happens quickly. I gave this several stirs over a few minutes and it's cooled down. It's maybe the tiniest bit warm, but we're gonna keep going. So now I'm gonna add my other ingredients for the dough. I have eggs. These are cold eggs. That's really important here. This is gonna help us maintain texture because this dough is mixed for such a long period of time. What ends up happening is it kind of warms up from the friction of the dough hook in the mixer. So it's nice to start with a cold ingredient to just kind of keep things from getting too warm because the warmth can kind of like just negatively affect the texture. So cold eggs, and the eggs are really the liquid plus the milk. Now this is 2 tablespoons of honey. Honey is such a really strong flavor, so you end up not needing a whole lot to impart honey flavor. It can really easily get the honey can really easily get kind of overwhelming and like take over. Hold on. So I'm just using 2 tablespoons in the dough, and then there's going to be more in the glaze. When I get honey, I just like to get something like a raw, unfiltered honey. So I'm going to add butter to this dough, but I'm adding just a little bit of oil, which helps to just keep things kind of like supple. 2 tablespoons of just granulated sugar, and then this is kosher salt. Then I'm adding some instant yeast. And now I'm going to add the rest of my flour. I'm going to pop this in. We're going to mix this on low. And then when it kind of comes together, I'm going to increase to like medium low. You don't really want to go above that. It's like a nice, long, slow mix. So we're going to be here for a while. And then I'm going to add the butter. And then it has to mix after that even more. You can see it's like very sticky, but it's also very elastic. So I'm going to scrape down the sides of the bowl. We're going to add cold butter to this. It's going to help to keep the temperature lower so it doesn't get too warm. Because what happens when it gets too warm is like it affects the gluten structure and like the fat will start to ooze out, and you just don't want that. And then it doesn't have that more bready, pull apart texture. So I'm going to add the butter in 2 additions. So let me get this going back on medium low, and I'm going to grab the butter. This is much less butter than I would be adding if I were making brioche. So I'm going to do half of it. And then when that is fully incorporated into the dough, I'm going to add the other half. And we're going to mix just until the dough is all mixed. And then we're going to let it rise. So this dough is done.
I didn't need to do that.
Just
That was so
mix it
bad.
long enough. I'll actually show you a little quick test. So if you grab a blob of dough and you start to slowly stretch it in all directions with your fingertips, see how the dough has stretched to this like super thin film without tearing? Well, it's about to tear. And the light will pass through, see that? So that means that we have lots of gluten development. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of flour and I'm gonna gather it into a ball. Do a little slap and fold. This dough looks so good. See how smooth it is?
It's so buttery.
It's like super elastic. This looks great. So I'm gonna get just a little flour over it. I like to use the bowl scraper to help me rotate the dough across the surface, and that helps to develop this tight kind of dome. So it's in this nice smooth ball. And now I'm gonna get it back into the mixing bowl to rise. So let's get the bowl, a little bit of flour. Dough's gonna go back in, and I'm gonna cover it, and this is going to sit at room temperature until, so here's the thing. This dough, so you can see how it's, wait, hold on. Should scrape down the hook. So you can see that this dough is at room temp is really soft. So we are going to give this a little bit of a jump start on the rise at room temp, and then we're going to put it in the fridge because this dough is much, much easier to handle when it's cold. So I like to let it sit out at room temperature for like 30 to 60 minutes, where I start to see some growth. It's like already, you know, it'll sort of puff up a little bit and start to expand, and then it finishes in the fridge. So we'll transfer it to the fridge. Now here's the kind of lie I've been perpetrating so far this whole episode. This dough, because it likes a nice long slow rise, I made it last night.
Just on a hunch.
On a hunch, sure. On a hunch, I made this dough last night.
A hunch. Yeah.
So I'm gonna grab that one. It's already cold. So here's what I'm thinking about the swirl. I'm gonna put cinnamon in it. I think.
Wait, that song? Wait, hold on. Wait, go back.
Cinnamon. Hunch, sure. On a hunch, I made this dough last night. So I'm gonna grab that one. It's already cold. So here's my thinking about
hold on,
the
wait.
swirl. I'm gonna put cinnamon in it. I think the combination of honey and cinnamon is like, that's what I want the flavor to be. So it's gonna be cinnamon inside the roll and honey in the dough and in the glaze. Now, it's a really, really light dusting of cinnamon. I don't think that I'm going to add sugar to the swirl. Like normally it would just be like cinnamon sugar, just, you know, like cover it with some butter, cinnamon sugar. That would be if I was making a cinnamon roll. But there's a couple things I'm thinking about here. One is I don't really want to add sugar because the whole thing is, it's pretty, there's a lot of surface area and it gets coated in glaze. So I think that's, I don't want to make it too sweet. The other thing is that the dough does not unroll easily, which I think is important, like, because during frying, I don't want that spiral to unravel. And so that it like really sticks together. And so I'm going to use actually just a little bit of water, something for the cinnamon to stick to, and also it is going to like help to glue the dough together when I roll it up. It sounds like a little austere, but with the glaze on top and the butter in it, like there's plenty of richness and sweetness from the other components. So really just this is about getting a little bit of cinnamon in there and creating a roll that's not going to come apart when I fry. So I'm going to grab the dough. I have some bench flour here, and I have my rolling pin. The bowl was in the fridge at an angle to fit in there, so it rose like that. So I put this in the fridge after about an hour at room temp. I had grown maybe like 20% in volume, and it continued the rise overnight. So you can see like the difference in size. And because it's cold, the butter in there has firmed up. The dough has the flour has further hydrated. It's now a very firm piece of dough. This is the dough that's much easier to work with when it's cold. And I have a piece of parchment paper here. I'm going to give it a little bit of flour. I'm going to roll on the parchment paper. This is going to help me create that spiral. So I want to put this down on the surface, smooth side down. And I do want to try to start to orient the dough in a more rectangular shape rather than round, because I want to get like a log of rolled up dough that's of even thickness from end to end. So I like to just kind of start to create that shape by pulling on the dough. I like to tug at it and kind of create some corners there. All right, now a little bit of flour. You know what? I just remembered I need to make this a lot longer and skinnier, because this is a dough that doesn't get rolled that many times. It really goes, it's like 1, 2, it's like 2.5 rolls really. So I'm gonna really just lengthen this. And I can always cut, if I feel like I've rolled it, I can always cut the dough and do a second roll. I want to just pull one out as a general reference for the thickness. This dough I'm definitely going to trim, so I'm not too worried about like the unevenness on the sides.
Is this greedy?
So the challenge here is getting the dough.
This is greedy as fuck. Bye.
Kind of fighting me, like springing back.
Damn.
And also working quickly enough that it's going to stay cold. I'm going to go ahead and trim the ends. Save these for something else. So now I'm going to brush the surface with a little bit of water. If you've ever done pottery and like made slip out of clay and water and that becomes like your glue, it's kind of the same. All right, so now I'm gonna sprinkle it with cinnamon, and I'm going to sprinkle just my fingertips. And I want the cinnamon to like disperse evenly, so I sprinkle it from like a high above, so that I don't get like a big.
It probably smells so good.
I wonder what would happen if I try to brush it. Oh, okay.
Oh, hold on.
I'm just painting with it. This actually works really well. I think that looks good. Now I'm gonna start rolling it up. I'm not gonna roll it in a circle so much as I'm gonna basically like fold it onto itself to kind of give me that more oblong.
First thing I need to do.
I feel good about this getting essentially to this size after proofing and frying. But now I want to be able to make really clean cuts to get that flat, like clean spiral. So this dough has now softened because it's been at room temp. So I'm going to roll this up. This is why I did this in parchment paper. I'm going to roll it up inside the parchment, and I'm going to sit this in the freezer. It's going to get it really cold and firm, and I'm going to let it chill before I slice it. One more. Bigger. Oh my god, this is so great. I knew I should always hold on to things. This
I could do
is
this
a peel
faster.
for making baguette.
What'd you say?
Perfect. Let's just slide this onto here. Okay, now into the freezer, and then I'm gonna let this sit for probably like 15 minutes, and it's gonna get really cold and firm. So here's my roll. It's actually kind of convenient that the honey buns are oval, because when you're making cinnamon rolls, especially with a soft dough, it almost always flattens anyway. So it kind of works out. All right, so the dough is nice and firm. Let's unroll it.
What'd you say? What'd you call me?
And I'm gonna start cutting it. A great trick for any kind of a bun or any kind of swirled roll is to cut with, most often you see like an unflavored dental floss. I don't think we have any here, so I'm using, this is like fishing line. You just need a kind of like a, what was the word I used? Not like filament, but so some kind of a thin floss. So the idea of doing it this way is that you're not applying downward pressure with a knife. So this helps to cut everything and like maintain the shape. So I'm going to start with just by slicing off the end. So there's not much of a spiral to expose, but in this case I think is good. I'm gonna try to cut them about 1 centimeter wide, which is not very wide. These are gonna proof and they're gonna get bigger. I don't know how much bigger. Did I make them so tiny? They're so little. Oh my god, they're so small. I'm making mini honey buns, whatever. I could cut them a little bit thicker and flatten them more, like with a rolling pin. What do you think about that idea? If I cut them a little bit thicker.
Go with your gut.
And let's try that. And I think this looks better. comparatively, like, I think this is gonna get too tall and it's so tiny. I'm gonna go with this method. So I'm gonna keep cutting, I'm gonna cut them thicker, and I'm gonna basically flatten each one and roll it out. I mean, it's kind of a pleasing shape. So let's go with this idea. And I'm gonna get them all on my sheet tray. You know what I'm just realizing I should have done? I should have put each one on its own piece of parchment. That really facilitates transfer into the oil. You can lift up the entire piece of parchment, like slide it onto a spatula, get it into the oil, and you don't have to even touch the dough. So before these soften too much, I'm gonna cut parchment and get each one on its own little piece. Cover these with some plastic and set them aside to proof.
Oh, see you, buddy. Hold on.
So maybe an hour or so of proofing. The honey buns have puffed nicely. I just gave them a little bit of like a dusting of flour so that the parchment didn't stick as they continue to proof. They need a little bit more time, but they're looking really good. I want to get my fry setup ready because I want to be able to cook these as soon as they're proof so they don't overproof. So I have some oil that's going behind me on like medium low. Let's see.
Right, like her breakfast gets out to tea. Can I watch that?
We're not getting too hot.
It's on. If it's on YouTube and it's not on Twitch, can I watch it? No, I shouldn't say that because Pokemon would fuck me. So I guess I can't.
But I know what I'm gonna add. I mean, it's gonna be confectioner sugar, milk, honey, and a little bit of butter. I like to add a little bit of fat to my glaze because it tends to like create a little bit of a sheen, and it just like seals everything. It just adds like a little bit of.
Oh my god, I'm losing Pikmin.
A tablespoon and a half of butter here.
Fuck.
Oh, ow, ow. What is going on? It made the thing. How is it possible that the dish is this hot and the butter is not melted? I don't really get it. All right, we're gonna let that melt. It is so hot. Some confectioner sugar in my bowl. It always looks like so much sugar, and it is, but it also dissolves really quickly. All right, so then I'm gonna add a splash of milk, a tablespoon or so of honey, a big pinch of salt, to add my melted butter. We'll call that about a tablespoon or so of butter. So let's start whisking this. Generally with a confectioner sugar glaze, it's usually better to make it on the thick side, and you can always thin it if needed, but I feel like you think it seems thick and then you have the hot donut and like it tends to run off a bit. So, I mean, this looks really good. I think I could probably thin it a tiny bit. I want to add a little more honey. Maybe another little splash of milk. I'm gonna dunk. The donut is gonna go into the glaze. The glaze is not gonna go over the donut. I'm not gonna do it like factory style. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna add a little vanilla to it also. It's just a nice kind of background flavor. All right, this consistency looks nice. The color is really nice. It's a kind of like soft, creamy beige. I think it's gonna coat the donuts really, really well.
Okay, that's good.
It's insanely sweet because it's made of honey and sugar, but it's gonna, I think, be really good on the donuts. You know, I think we're getting close, so I'm going to bring my oil over and crank the heat under it and get it ready for frying, and I'll do like a little sheet tray with a rack, you know, set up for glazing, and cool. Let's see where we are. We were at like 320 a minute or two ago. We're at 330. All right, I'm gonna crank the heat a little. What's so nice about frying on induction is I can control the heat so easily. So I have my glaze here. I have some resting racks for the honey buns when they come off out of the oil. I'm gonna get rid of my plastic here. And I think I'll have room to fry sort of 3 at a time. And they're only gonna take probably a minute or two in the oil. So I'm at I want to get to 350. I'm at 339, 340. So I'm going to increase this heat a little bit. All right, I'm going to start by putting the first ones in. So what I like to do when I'm cooking donuts is put them in the oil like upside down, like to basically turn them before putting them in the oil, because what happens is as these are proofing, there's bubbles forming toward the surface, and if I were to put that in the oil, those bubbles get bigger, and then I have like a donut that's denser on one and lighter on the other side, denser on one side, lighter on the other. So I like to put it in the other way first. So I'm gonna slip this into the oil. And I also want to rotate these really frequently because I don't really want to make, I want them to be evenly golden brown all over. So let's see where we are with the oil. So anytime you add something to the oil, it's going to drop the temp. 345. All right, so I'm right there where I want to be. It's floating. That's a good sign. It's looking really good. They're definitely going to be taller than the original. I think frying seems scary, but the thing about doing donuts is that there's not a lot of moisture, so it's like a very gentle, like, what's scary about frying is when you put something wet in it and it just pops and like...
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Oil everywhere. That's terrifying. So here it is. That's kind of the more flat side. That side's a little rounded. They're a little more rounded than the original, but what are you gonna do?
And you can really use your hand.
To add it? Yeah. I mean, you have to be careful that you don't drag your fingers through it, but yeah. So I'm gonna do a quick dunk with the first one. So after it's had a minute or two to cool, it's still pretty hot. Let's give it a dunk. And I sort of like the more flat surface. So I think that glaze will continue to kind of run off of it. If I can't get it out. Ow! 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 Okay, so I'm gonna get to frying the rest. I'm gonna do, I think I can fit 3 in here comfortably without dropping the oil too much and crowding it. And I'm just gonna basically, flip it every maybe 20 or 30 seconds for a total fry time of like 2 or 3 minutes. I think the glaze consistency is just right, so we just need to let this last batch sit for maybe 10 minutes and then we'll come back and taste. Definitely
This
more
OST
puffier and a little bit larger than the original, but I think it looks like the ideal homemade version of this thing. I think they look amazing. If I were to like picture honey bun in my mind, that's what I would picture. The glaze set really nicely. I love the gloss. I think it's like the right coating. I think I overcorrected for like fusing the spiral together, and so mine are a little bit flatter and don't have as much definition of the spiral. There is some. The color is really similar, don't you think? The size is pretty good from the side profile. Definitely mine is a little puffier. Overall proportions and dimensions.
It's a little
really
whattier?
close. I wish it had more of a honey aroma. I think it could probably be a little bit more pronounced. The proof looks really good. It's super light for its size, just like the original. It has this nice thin golden brown layer, and what I like to see is that there isn't a lot of oil absorption in the interior. Like, it didn't overproof, it fried at the proper temperature, so it didn't absorb a lot of oil. So that means it's not going to be so heavy to eat. Let me smell the interior. The interior smells really good. Once you break it open, you get some of the cinnamon scent. It smells really good. I really love donuts.
Where's this idiot?
These are so good. The honey flavor is subtle. I feel like there could be more in the glaze. The cinnamon is subtle. I probably would put more of the cinnamon. But it is also just like a phenomenally delicious
I
donut.
could have sworn there was an
And
enemy
I ate
here.
it where like the glaze like hit my tongue first, and so you get like a little bit of sweetness. But the actual donut itself is so not too sweet. Feels very similar as far as size to weight, but really it's texture. It's just like they're so light and pillowy, and it has a little bit of that like bready pull apart texture, but still really tender. This was a really fun one. I like that I got to basically do like one process, which is like making donuts.
There's
and not having
no
to
way.
make a whole bunch of different components. It wasn't.
Are they gonna really walk
so
through the fucking
ingredients.
water like idiots?
It was really fun and satisfying, and
Okay, they
I
didn't.
definitely
Alright, we're
nailed
good.
it. So I like getting an easy one every now and then. It's not even late in the afternoon. So I get to go have a little coffee and enjoy my donut. So very successful. And I promise, we will circle back and bring you part 2 of a certain episode. We've been dragging our feet a little bit, admittedly. But if you want to see any other subjects for Claire Recreates, let us know in the comments. International, domestic, we're open to anything. And I hope you enjoyed watching. If you liked this, check out other episodes. Maybe hit that subscribe button. It's up to you. All right, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
That was so easy. I thought that was gonna be harder. What? Who the fuck is cauliflower? Is this one new? Cauliflower? Who the fuck is that? Cauliflower. We just invited anybody on the show. Who the hell is that? Okay. Okay. Whoever the fuck that is.
Sometimes bad Pokemon moves can randomly be really good and competitive. Gust, for example, is an early game attack that you see on such heavy hitters as Pidgey. With only 40 power, this is not designed to be used at a high level, even in the base game. But amazingly, the Pokemon Flygon can use the move Gust in Gen 3 OU as its only option to be able to hit Breloom and Heracross for super effective damage. Despite the low power, it's strong enough to one-hit KO these particular Pokemon. Growl is one of the first Pokemon moves you encounter in the games. A very unremarkable move that simply lowers the enemy's attack stat by 1 stage. Largely quite dreadful. But amazingly, the Pokemon Miltank can use this move in Gen 2 OU in order to
Growl's
1v1
so fucking good, Jesus
Snorlax.
Christ.
By lowering its attack, it cancels out Snorlax's coast boosts and prevents it from doing enough damage to win in a 1 versus 1. But did you know that even the move Poison Sting has a competitive purpose? Yes, Poison Sting, which you might be familiar with from Viridian Forest, utilized by the incredibly powerful Pokemon Weedle. Poison Sting is a bad move by design. It's an early game attack, not meant to be used
Check it out
beyond the
in a bit,
first couple of
Scott.
gyms. If that, Poison Sting has a measly power of only base 15, dealing very pathetic damage, and it has a 30% chance to apply poison, but that's only level 1 poison, rather than the more generally powerful toxic poison. So why the hell would anybody use Poison Sting in a competitive context? What could be the advantage of this? Clodsire is a new Pokemon in Gen 9 that has been quite successful competitively, thanks to its great defensive abilities, Unaware and Water Absorb, as well as its nice min-maxed stats, lending itself well to a special wall role. And Clodsire is the one that sometimes...
You use Poison Sting?
And the reason players started to use Poison Sting is because of some frustrations with Clodsire's other similar options. The most common option to simply apply poison is the move Toxic, a status-inflicting move that will badly poison the target. Bad poison is much better than regular poison, with damage that ramps up every single turn, applying much more pressure than regular poison, which only does a set 1/16 of an enemy's HP every single turn. So Toxic is the go-to option. But there is an issue with Toxic. Being a status move, if Clodsire is under the effects of Taunt, it cannot be used. The Taunt answers Toxic. Toxic is also ineffective against certain Pokemon, like Hatterene. Hatterene has the ability Magic Bounce, which bounces back certain status ailments to its opponent. So if you click Toxic against Hatterene, you will be Toxic. Clodsire itself is immune to being toxic, but Hatterene is still completely immune and therefore can abuse Clodsire and set up in its face without much detriment. For this reason, players started to use the move Poison Jab instead. Poison Jab is a good poison type attack with 80 power and a 30% chance to poison. This can hit Hatterene for good damage. Even though Clodsire is not necessarily an offensive Pokemon, the damage
Can I get the last 3? Can I do this in a day?
effective, and the poison chance is appreciated too.
There's one
Even if it's
here,
not
there's
toxic
one
poison, it
here,
is still
and there's one
good
over
to
here.
poison the enemy and apply a bit of pressure to them, and some damage over time. As long as the enemy does not have our leftovers, they still will eventually perish to the poison, and Clodsire is bulky enough to take advantage even of regular poison, non-toxic poison. And the enhanced value of Poison Jab not being able to be taunted and also being more effective against these abilities that prevent status moves made it a genuine option. But there is a problem with Poison Jab that Clodsire did not anticipate. You see, Poison Jab requires Clodsire to run up to the enemy and jab them physically with its little fin. And in doing so,
Can I do
Clodsire
this?
is putting itself in peril, oh dear. By making physical contact with the enemy, Clodsire might hurt itself against spiky objects.
So it
like
has
the
to use
rocky helmet.
stupid Poison
If you
Sting.
attack an
That's so
enemy and
funny.
physical contact with them and they're wearing a rocky helmet, you will take a bit of damage, and that's no good. Rocky helmet is quite common on Pokemon like Landorus, Therian, and others, so that's a detriment to running Poison Jab. You open yourself up to a little bit of physical pain, and nobody wants that. Poison Jab also makes physical contact against effects such as Moltres with Flame Body. Flame Body has a 30% chance to burn enemies that make physical contact. And Clodsire getting burned is a potential disaster, as it would now be taking chip damage every turn, and it would be doing less damage with its
So
own
now it
Earthquake.
uses stupid Poison Sting. That's
So the
cool.
logical next step was to find an option that solves this problem. And amazingly, the option that does solve this problem is Poison Sting, famously used on Weedle. Poison Sting may have a very low base power of only 15, dealing absolutely pathetic damage in comparison to Poison Jab. But Poison Sting does not make physical contact because you are shooting a dart at the enemy from a safe distance rather than having to go up to them and jab them with your fin and make contact with Moltres, who is very hot and made of fire. Strategically, this is quite smart. Even though the damage is worse, it is much safer because you are not putting yourself in harm's way, and it still has the 30% poison chance, which is the main reason you're using it. To not get haunted, to hit Katarine, and to apply poison. So Poison Sting is a genuine option for these reasons. And the other advantage of Poison Sting over Poison Jab is that it has a much higher PP. You see, Poison Sting has a 56 PP. It can be used 56 times. There are a lot of darts that Clodsire stores somewhere for combat. So with this amount of PP, the longevity of Clodsire is enhanced. It can click Poison Sting to stall turns, and there are so many to play that the game can go very long and Clodsire can be there for that. Who knew that such a seemingly dreadful move would have real competitive application and genuine merit over other similar
That's really
options
cool.
like Poison? How unbelievable. Weedle is feeling very proud right now of what it's contributed to the world. Thank you, Weedle, for teaching Clodsire this valued technique, which it has used to great effect. Electro Ball is a move that is generally not very good. It's an interesting move, but in practice it ends up being worse than other electric type attacks the vast majority of the time. Electro Ball's power is based on how fast you are compared to the enemy, and it can have up to 150 base power if you are significantly faster than the enemy. Like an Electrode who's really fast, using Electro Ball against a Caterpie who is very slow. This will deal incredible damage. The problem, though, is that the power of this move is way too variable. Using Electro Ball against something that is decently fast, not even that fast, but decently fast, will do pretty terrible damage. You'll only do good damage with Electro Ball in very specific matchups, so it just feels inconsistent. Gyro Ball is a similar attack, but inverted. It deals more damage the slower you are than the target, and this is a better move because you are more in control of how slow you are. Something like Ferrothorn can purposely run as low a speed stat as possible with negative IVs and a minus speed nature to maximize the power of Gyro Ball, and it's often attacking things faster than it. But Electro Ball is just way too varied, and it's unfortunate to deal so little damage to anything reasonably fast. For that reason, Electro Ball is generally inferior to the simple move Thunderbolt, which has a consistent 90 power, plus a 10% para chance, which does come up pretty often. You would much rather have the consistent damage than the more inconsistent Electro Ball. But there is one funny case where Electro Ball has a purpose in competitive Pokemon, and that is in the Gen 6 Ubers team. Electro Ball can be used by the Pokemon Mewtwo for a funny reason, but why the hell would you use Electro Ball when Mewtwo just gets Thunderbolt, which is seemingly far better? Well, Electro Ball does enough damage to one-hit KO a specific Pokemon after a Calm Mind in Gen 6 Ubers, and that specific Pokemon is Mega Sableye. Mega Sableye is actually a really excellent Pokemon in Ubers, through its fantastic typing and great defenses, as well as the powerful ability Magic Bounce. But you'll notice that it has a very, very low speed of base 20. Because its speed is so low, Electro Ball from a Mewtwo who is very fast happens to do incredible damage specifically to Mega Sableye.
Okay, now where should I go here?
It's safe enough to handle a Mewtwo or a Mega Mewtwo Y. Mega Sableye is immune to Psychic and has the bulk to take on this Pokemon, but not if they have Electro Ball to punish the speed differential between the two Pokemon. After a Calm Mind, Mewtwo or Mega Mewtwo Y will just one-hit KO Mega Sableye unexpectedly. And being able to do massive damage to this particular Pokemon can be very useful, as you are surprising with a unexpected KO. So if you're watching this and you're not capable of reaching a very high speed, be careful of electronic spears. You might be in trouble against that. Get clear of that. I'm talking to you, Munchlax, with your base 5 speed. You watch out. Electro Ball is going to end your career. You be very careful, Munchlax. The move Torment is interesting, but generally not popular and commonly used. Pretty bad. Torment is a status effect that will prevent the target from selecting the same move twice in a row. Certainly interesting, but generally, when you torment something, they're not going to be that debilitated by this effect, and can simply just use different attacks every turn without a lot of trouble. You can also simply switch out to reset Torment if it's that big of a deal. Compared to other status effects like Taunt and Encore, Torment is not commonly seen. But there's one Pokemon that I recall using Torment to great effect.
Oh, and it was Heatran in Gen 4. I remember this. Oh my god! I remember this because he would use like Protect or like Substitute or something, and then like you would like stop earthquakes, and like you'd be able to. Like, I remember this.
The Gen 4 OU.
I remember this one. Oh my god, that's so
Heatran
old.
get a lot out of Torment.
Yeah.
Fire Steel typing means that.
What, with like Magna Storm or something? Or Magma Storm?
Can hit it super effectively, like Earthquake or Close Combat or a Water type attack. It's pretty uncommon for there to be multiple moves on a Pokemon's moveset that threaten Heatran super effectively. So if Heatran uses Torment against, for example, an offensive Dragonite, Heatran can simply protect every single time the Dragonite tries to use Earthquake and then be totally safe at all other times, shrugging off Dragon Claw or Ice Punch or just about any other coverage. It helps if Heatran already has a substitute up from a prior interaction and can then safely torment whatever switches in to protect itself. And this strategy is often used alongside Toxic Spikes. Toxic Spikes are an entry hazard that poison the enemy as they switch onto the field if they're grounded. And if you have 2 layers of Toxic Spikes, they will apply Bad Poison, which has ramping damage. This Heatran set can keep substituting, protecting, and tormenting to basically just sit there stalling for ages while the enemy slowly dies to all these Toxic Spikes. And awkwardly can't hit Heatran very well because every time they try to, they're tormented and have to switch out and back in and rack up more poison damage. Actually a very effective strategy. Rather an immoral strategy, tormenting the enemy to the point of self-defeat. Perhaps the most frustrating Heatran set in the game's history to play against. And the move certainly lives up to its name in this context. But regardless, this is probably the most effective usage of an otherwise rather bad move that is not commonly seen in competitive play.
I forgot.
Present is the signature move of Delibird. Delibird is a bad Pokemon and Present is a pretty bad move. You may think there's nothing wrong with receiving a gift. This might sound in fact quite nice, but this gift can cause pain and suffering. Present is a move that has a random effect. It can be an attack with either 40, 80 or 120 base power randomly, or it can heal the opponent for 1/4 of their max HP. It should be pretty clear why this is a bad move. It's inconsistent. You don't know what it's going to do. And at the best case, 120 power, you could simply run the move Mega Kick, which is similar with 80 accuracy, but it always does what you want. Surely more consistent than a 90% accurate Present that could heal the opponent unintentionally. How dreadful. So why would anybody use Present in its intended state? Well, they wouldn't, because its intended state is broken in Gen 2. This is a glitched move that doesn't work like other attacks, and for that reason it's randomly kind of good. Pokemon attacks use a mathematical formula to figure out how much damage they should deal, and this formula factors in various values from the attacking Pokemon and the defending Pokemon. Their level, their offensive stat, either attack or special attack, their defending stat, defense or special defense, and the base power of the attack as well. Plus type effectiveness, to then multiply the damage if applicable. But the move Present is glitched and breaks the damage formula. When you use Present in Generation 2, the level, attack and defense variables of the damage formula will not be what they should be. They won't coincide with your Pokemon and their Pokemon. Their values will be replaced. For whatever reason, the attack value will be based on what type the target is. If they are Rock or Steel type, the attack value will be 5. And if they are any other type, the attack value will be 10. The level value of the damage formula will be based on the index number of the defending Pokemon.
The what?
Which is random as hell, isn't it? Each type in the game has a corresponding index number, probably used to refer to different types in the code. So for some reason that value got mixed up in the damage formula, and the level value is just whatever type they are in the index. So for example, if you are using present against a water type Pokemon. The index number of the water type is 21, and therefore the level of both Pokemon in the damage formula will be 21. And the defense value in the damage calculation will be based on the index number of your Pokemon. And this is very interesting, because Blissey, the Pokemon Blissey, can use the move Present. And Blissey is a normal type, and the index number of normal type is 0. Now if a 0 is present in the damage formula, it gets rounded up to a 1 so that it doesn't break anything in the mathematics. So basically, if Blissey uses Present, they deal pretty good damage due to the fact that they set the enemy's defense to 1, and the level in the damage calculation is based on the enemy's type. So you can randomly deal great damage to a Pokemon like Cloyster. Cloyster usually has great physical bulk to take hits, but since this move is glitched and ignores all of Cloyster's actual stats and actual traits, the damage that Present deals is really high against Cloyster. Now it is a little bit random because the base power.
I might be able to do this in one day, y'all. What the fuck?
Variable, and also it could
Oh my
heal
god.
heavy, but much of the time you're just going to deal good damage, way more than Blissey could usually deal to Cloyster. And any other water type too, since water index number is 21, you will have a high level of 21. Delibird's desire to prank the enemy with a present that actually hurts them has had far more lethal ramifications than he ever expected. Now Delibird feels a little bit of residual guilt as a result of all of this. He's personal friends with Cloyster and didn't intend for Blissey to take his technique and punish Cloyster, simply for being a water type and having a 21 index value. How could Cloyster be so stupid to play into the present matchup? I mean, come on. I personally think this is entirely Delibird's fault and he is being punished with karmic justice for his deceit, but perhaps that's a controversial opinion in the community. Zap Cannon is a bad attack, folks. Now there's some good qualities about it. It has 100 power, which is very good. Electric type special attack, and it has a 100% paralysis chance. The problem though is that it only has 50% accuracy, making it incredibly inconsistent. And it's an awkward move. Having high power and para chance are usually not very synergistic. You're using a high
I guess
power
Delibird
attack
is just
usually
funny.
trying to
I guess that was the
hit the enemy
point.
and send them to their grave. So paralyzing them doesn't matter if they're already deceased. Therefore, why not just use Thunderbolt, which only has a little bit lower power compared to Zap Cannon, but a 100% accuracy. If you want to paralyze the opponent, you would simply use Thunder Wave on Nuzzle, and that would have a similar impact. There's not much application for dealing a lot of damage and paralyzing the enemy with such inconsistency in the accuracy, so it's a strange move and one that isn't commonly used. But there is a Pokemon that can viably use the move in a competitive scenario, and that is the Pokemon Forretress in the Generation 3 OU metagame. And Forretress uses Zap Cannon for an amazing reason. One of the greatest adversaries for Forretress in this metagame is Gengar. Gengar is a ghost type, meaning it can block Forretress's rapid spin and also block explosion. If Forretress chooses to explode against Gengar, it will perish with no advantage. A tragic end. And Forretress is not very good at threatening Gengar either. Some attacks it often
Oh my
runs
god, I
are
almost did that in
Earthquake
one
and
day.
Hidden
Wow.
Power Bug to threaten common matchups like Magneton and Claydol. But these do nothing against a Gengar. Gengar shrugs off bug damage with times 4 resistance and is immune to Earthquake. But Zap Cannon can actually do something to the incoming Gengar. Zap Cannon, if it lands, will deal a bit of chip damage to Gengar, which can be very relevant, putting Gengar into more damage ranges to potentially meet an early end. And also, it will paralyze Gengar, making it far less effective. One of Gengar's greatest traits is its high speed, and with paralysis, Gengar is pretty much ruined. So Zap Cannon is actually a way to do something to one of Forretress's greatest and most common switch-ins and adversaries. It is inaccurate, but the mere chance that Zap Cannon could connect, or the surprise value if it does connect, is valuable enough that this is a set that you sometimes see. This Forretress set is also not bad against Skarmory, who will sometimes try and stay in against Forretress and 1 versus 1 it with repeated drill pecks. But Zap Cannon will deal actual decent damage to Skarmory due to the super effective electric type special damage. Plus it will paralyze them, meaning they're far less effective at the 1v1 when there's full paralysis in action. Fortress probably would just use Thunder Wave instead of this if it got it, but the best it has to paralyze enemies is Zap Cannon. For that reason, that's what it uses. It's the best it can do. But the chip damage and the high power making up for Fortress's low special attack does have some relevance here too, doing actual damage to the Gengar and Skama. It's a good surprise option that can sort of overcome the poor accuracy just for the high upside of hit and the threat being powerful enough to dissuade Gengar entering in the future, even if you do miss the first time. It's like an insurance against the incoming Gengar that might let you squeeze in a rapid spin because they're too scared to come in and get parried. A rather devious trick from Fortress, but Fortress is known for his intelligent...
I kind of realized that like paralysis is kind of stupid. Isn't Thunderwave kind of a dumb move? Isn't Thunderwave kind of stupid? Like when you think about it, what do you mean? What do you mean? I simply just click it and now you are 75% slower and worse. It's kind of a dumb move. I was thinking about it and I was like, what if I did a like, what if I went back and I played Pokemon and then I like thought about just having a Paris spam team. Like, it sounds kind of stupid now I think about it. Skyward Sword.
And
Ew.
introducing this wild card into the mix can create favorable outcomes for him. Well done to Fortress for planning ahead in such a way, playing 4D chess. The move Bounce is pretty bad. Bounce is a flying type attack.
I know who
with
uses this
85
one. Where's
power and
Gyarados?
85 accuracy, as well as a 30% paralysis chance. The big problem with Bounce, though, is that it takes 2 turns to execute. On the first turn, you will bounce into the air and be immune to incoming attacks. On the second turn, Bounce will occur, and the damage will be done. The problem with these 2-turn attacks in a competitive context is that they are completely telegraphed. Once the Pokemon bounces into the air, you know exactly what's coming, so you can just switch into a resistance. It's not as if you're playing the single-player game, and the AI just sits there and tanks the bounce, even though they know that certain death is in their future. A human being with intelligence can exit the field, and in fact even punish this hubristical maneuver with effects like Rocky Helmet or Iron Bar. Amazingly though, the move Bounce has been used in a competitive context before by quite a good Pokemon. Gyarados in the Gen 5 metagame has utilized Bounce. There is a simple reason for this, and that is the fact that Gyarados does not get anything better when it comes to flying type attacks. Gyarados does not get Drill Peck, it does not have a beak with which to peck anything. It does not get Brave Bird, because as far as I can tell it is not a bird. So all it has is Bounce. But even then, even though this is its only fighting type attack, you would still think that maybe it would just not bother. It could just use its Waterfall stat for physical damage, and complementary coverage like Earthquake. Options like Stone Edge. It has a good physical move. Well, it doesn't need to run Bounce. And Bounce seems so bad that surely, even though it's your only flying type attack, you would still rather not use it. But sometimes, you just need that flying type damage. Flying is kind of a great offensive type actually, because nothing is immune to it. And in the Gen 5 metagame in particular, there aren't that many punishes to it either. Bounce will deal big neutral damage to Ferrothorn, and though you can take Iron Barbs, the damage will be good enough that Gyarados was probably willing to click Bounce in that context. There are plenty of flying resists, but many of them will still end up taking pretty significant damage from Bounce anyway, as Gyarados is a strong Pokemon with a high attack, especially if you've Dragon Danced once or twice. And the Para chance actually makes this move okay in the face of an incoming resist. With a 30% chance to paralyze, you can actually do something against the resists incoming in and potentially cripple them for the remainder of the game. And this set right here runs Substitute to possibly take advantage of a paralyzed opponent. It also helps that Stab Waterfall just threatens many of the things that would come in on Bounce and resist it, so you have a follow-up that still deals good damage in the event that they switch in and resist. Now, don't get me wrong, if Gyarados had any other form of flying type stab, even if it was weaker in power with no para chance, it would absolutely be preferred. The bouncing effect where you telegraph exactly what you're going to do on the following turn, is detrimental. And part of the reason bounce is being used here is because there is no other good option. But surprisingly, despite the detriments of this attack, it is workable enough to find its way onto certain competitive decks with Gyarados to surprising viability, which I think is quite noteworthy. Now what's even more incredible is that the move Fly has some competitive use. Fly is extremely similar to Bounce, but arguably worse, as it does not have the power chance. It has a higher base power of 90 and a higher accuracy of 95, but the same exact effect as Bounce. We fly up on the first turn and strike on the next turn, telegraphing the move and inviting in an enemy to resist you. At least Bounce can spread paralysis against these incoming resists, but Fly cannot. Now perhaps you are aware that Z moves can make Fly viable, because with a Z move, the 2-turn execution does not happen, and the move is just executed immediately. This is a way to give a big form of flying physical damage to Pokemon like
Numerous
Dragonite
little games. I already played the
and
best one.
Hydrosteria
I'm already
in
good.
Gen 7 specifically. Many know about this, and that's not what I'm talking about, even though that's a little bit noteworthy. The Z move does bypass the 2-turn execution and therefore makes the move far better. But I'm just talking about Fly being used on its own merits without a Z move to fix its greatest problem. Because there was a set in Gen 6 OU involving the move Fly on the Pokemon Dragonite. And the logic was similar here to the Gyarados set. Dragonite does not get another good flying type physical attack in its moveset. Fly is its best option. And if you look at this set with Dragon Dance, Substitute Roost, and just one attack to choose from, flying is a good type to use if you're only capable of running one attacking move on a moveset. Because it is a good offensive type that hits everything without worrying about immunity. Nothing is immune to flying, and it has a good offensive profile generally. If Dragonite were to use a dragon type attack instead, that would be vulnerable to thudding into fairies. Earthquake would have the same problem, but Fly is good for this. So that's one of the main reasons, is that it's its only flying type stab option, and flying stab is very good. But the other reason is interesting. Dragonite has the ability multi-scale, which is a great ability. If Dragonite is at full HP, it will take half damage from incoming attacks. And this is great alongside Roost to restore you back to full HP and get the multi-scale back. It's great on the first turn to get Dragon Dance set up. It's part of the reason Dragonite is such an amazing Pokemon. And multi-scale kind of synergizes with Fly. If you're running leftovers, you will chip heal every turn. And so on the turn that you fly up into the air, you will heal up a bit. And while you're in the air, you are also immune to incoming attacks. This is useful because you can use this Fly chip heal to put yourself back into multi-scale range, being at full HP. And therefore, whatever incoming damage you're worried about is no longer a problem. A Fly is actually kind of good for the immunity it provides on the first turn because of this chip heal that allows you to reach multi-scale again and halve the damage from incoming attacks. Dragonite actually consulted with his personal hero and famous combat strategist Forretress to conceive this strategy together. And they bond over their shared usage of a otherwise terrible move in a competitive context with beneficial results. Psywave is a strange
What the
move
fuck?
that is
Psywave?
scarcely ever used, generally pretty bad. Psywave is a move that deals a random amount of damage equal to a range. The minimum damage Psywave can do is half of the user's level, so 50 in competitive, where everything's level 100. And the maximum is 1.5x the user's level, so 150. This is sort of like Seismic Toss for people who like to gamble, because instead of dealing a set
Seismic Toss for people that like to...
Seismic Toss or Nightshade,
Seismic Toss Michelle, yeah.
Potentially more than Seismic Toss or Nightshade can deal. Amazingly, this move is utilized in a competitive setting by the Pokemon Bronzong in the Gen 7 RU format. Bronzong does not get Seismic Toss or Nightshade, and Psywave is kind of useful to deal a flat amount of damage that ignores damage calculation, because Bronzong is not very good at hitting Steel types. This Bronzong set relies on Toxic to apply pressure to enemies, and so Steel types give Bronzong problems. Its most common attack is Gyro Ball, which of course is resisted by Steel. And many Steel types can levitate or are Steel flying, meaning Earthquake is not as effective. So Psywave is nice to just deal flat damage to those Steel types and many other Pokemon in a similar way to Seismic Toss or Nightshade. Psywave is also able to hit ghost types where Seismic Toss would not be able to. And yes, it can't hit dark types, but you can just toxic the dark types, so that's fine. So Bronzong, a Pokemon that usually relies more on its physical move pool for damage output, is weirdly using Psywave in this particular scenario because the flat, random damage it deals ends up being better and applies more pressure to the things that Bronzong has trouble with. I'm not aware of any other example of Psywave being used, but this application of it does make sense actually. And finally, I'm sure you are all familiar with the move Harden.
Who the fuck uses Harden?
This move is Kakuna, a formidable early game opponent that doesn't know any attacks and can only harden its outside layer for better cocoon defense. Very strategic. Harden is a pretty bad boosting move that simply raises your defense by one stage. An unremarkable option, inferior to many things like bulk up curse, iron defense. A simple one stat increase is just not very good. And yet, did you know that the Pokemon Armaldo in the Gen 3 metagame
I know
utilizes
this!
Harden
Yeah,
a
it's for
competitive
Snorlax.
advantage in a very interesting context. Armaldo is a very good defensive answer to Snorlax. It is a rock bug type, meaning it is resistant to normal, Snorlax's main physical attacking type, and also neutral to ground. This is a big deal because Snorlax commonly carries Earthquake, which would actually hit the rock types that resist normal, but not Armaldo, who is a rock bug type. Ground neutrality is very valued here. The problem, though, is that if Snorlax carries the move Curse, it can boost up to the point where it still defeats Armaldo. With enough attack, the neutral Earthquake will overwhelm Armaldo and it will perish. But what if Armaldo was utilizing Harden? By utilizing Harden, you can match their attack boosts with a defense boost of your own and cancel out their boosts. And since Curse only raises attack by 1, you only need to raise your defense by 1 to match them and prevent the incoming damage. Now you may think that there's a problem here, which is that Snorlax could eventually do a critical hit against you and defeat you. Critical hits bypass defensive boosts, so if Snorlax does get a critical hit, it will ignore all of your hardened defense boosts and just end them. But Armaldo has the beautiful ability Battle Armor, which grants complete immunity to critical hits, making this strategy particularly effective. Over a long period of time, it's pretty likely a crit will happen in these long 1v1s, but Armaldo is immune to that completely. And therefore, a hardened Armaldo might be the hardest counter to Curse Snorlax in the whole of Gen 3 OU, which is significant. And with Knockoff to remove their leftovers, as well as Seismic Toss to wear them down, and Harden, of course, to prevent their boosts from hurting you, Armaldo destroys Snorlax. And you know what's funny? The Pokemon Kingler can actually do the exact same thing that Armaldo is doing.
Really now?
Kingler also has Shell Armor to be immune to crits, and also has Harden, and Knockoff to remove Snorlax's item. So Kingler is also a pretty good answer to a Curse Snorlax. It may not have the same typing as Armaldo with the normal resistance, but it is still neutral to everything Snorlax can do, and it has a very high defense stat of 115, meaning it can absolutely stomach Snorlax's attacks. And being a water type is valued in other matchups, so Kingler with Harden can in fact do the exact same thing, utilizing its powerful crab shell for the first time ever. What intelligent evolution to get an outer shell to defend from the random chance of a critical hit. Very smart from King. And by bolstering the defense of that shell further using the move Harden, Kingler can achieve the impossible and defeat one of OU's.
Oh no, there it is. Okay, yeah.
And there you have it, folks. Various bad moves, some being from the very early game like Poison, Sting, and Harden, that have actual competitive application for sometimes humorous reasons, oddly specific, and catered to metagame conditions or the particular desires of the Pokemon carrier, which can sometimes be missed. Let me know if I missed any other cool ones in the comments down below, and thank you for watching as always.
Okay, let's watch this food video. This guy had an idea about.
I'm Jeanette McCurdy, and this is my last meal.
Oh dear God.
Every person has exactly two things in common. We all gotta eat and we're all gonna die. Today's guest is an author whose first book spent more than 80 weeks on the New York Times bestsellers list, and her highly anticipated debut novel, Half His Age, is out now. For those of you who don't know how to read, well, you might recognize her as the face of the Great Depression at the happiest place on earth. Jeanette McCurdy, welcome to the show.
That was the best intro. It was so good.
Thank you so much. We'll get to the book later, but we have to talk about 10-year-old me learning about the California mission system in school, taking an educational field trip to California Adventure, and watching Golden Dreams.
No. Oh my God. My starring role.
Your starring role. There's Whoopi Goldberg talking about John Steinbeck, and then boom, you escaping the Dust Bowl.
Yes. I was a background actor on that, and they put all this like gunk on my teeth to make them look rotting.
Gross.
It was very gross. It was very uncomfortable. I just kept telling Mom, I was like, I just want to brush my teeth. And then the girl that they had sort of doing the role that I was doing, which was a featured extra, because you're on camera for more than 0.1 seconds. She like wasn't doing what they wanted her to do, which was to look sad.
Hold on, wait.
So the director was like, "What child looks sad?" That one, and pointed to me, and brought me forward, and I just did my thing. I was myself, looking like a sad child.
Truly, your most honest role was in California Dreams.
Honestly, proud to be in maybe least loved Disneyland park, just because it's a Disneyland park and I'm a Disney adult, so why not?
Hey, that had a great 8-year run. Did you ever go back and like rewatch that as an adult and go, why would I spend time here at Disneyland?
No, my mom forced me and my brothers to go in every time. She'd be like, we gotta watch Jeanette. She'd go in with her like 14 Disneyland bags like on her shoulders. And we'd all just be like, I don't wanna watch that. Like, why is this here? Please let us ride something fun for once. After she died, I just avoided it. It might have been gone by then. I actually don't even know.
2008 was the last time that it ran.
Okay, she died after that.
Well, hey.
It worked out.
It worked out. Life really does work out, doesn't it? Thank you so much for being here. I'm super stoked.
Well, I love this show, and I'm such a fan and excited to be here.
Thank you. Well, I imagine that you've thought about your last meal before then.
I have a lot.
Do you remember the first time you thought about it? Is this like a lifelong, you've had the list going for forever, or this was just for the show?
Honestly, I actively avoided it. I didn't want to think about death or what my last meal would look like until your show. And then I started thinking about it. Well, everybody else is thinking of it. I might as well too.
Do you think there's kind of a power in that? Like there's an empathy in that, or simply a lemming effect of everybody's doing it, so I should?
So this is sort of related, but I was a big fan of Mark Maron's podcast. And he always talked about reading Denial of Death. And so I tried to read Denial of Death when I was like 18, and that of course did not work out. I couldn't get through it. But there was something in the idea that I couldn't even read a book called Denial of Death, and I thought, wow, I'm really avoiding something here. So it's kind of, I think there's something empowering about considering death in certain ways and thinking, how do I want to live my life and how do I want to eat my last meal?
Yeah, it seems like something that you don't shy away from, especially in half his age. Like there's some deeper existential thoughts, albeit coming from an 18-year-old protagonist.
Yeah.
But it seems like something you don't shy away from particularly.
I think there's a lot to be gleaned from the things that we may regret later in life. I think of this every year. We're recording this sort of in the new year, so it's actually good timing because it's fresh on my mind. But in the closing weeks of the previous year and in the initial weeks of the present year, I like to think about rocking chair regrets and what I might regret as I'm dying. And that's truly a great way of saying, am I living my life on the path that I want to be living it on? Am I living with the values that I want to be living my life with? Am I doing the things that I would be doing if I really, really knew every day this is it and I wasn't just acting like, oh, it goes on forever and it's infinity, whatever. I find it really, really useful.
Rocking chair regrets.
Rocking chair regrets. There you go.
Filling the Mark Maron-sized hole in the podcast universe.
We all need it. We all need it filled.
You ready to eat?
Yeah, let's eat.
All right, Jeanette, for the first course of your final meal, we have the pot stickers, the venti matcha latte, seared yellowtail belly sushi, and extra black vinegar sauce. You see,
I was not expecting everyone to just fly in like that.
They kind of
incredible.
Hide like ninjas, like the Michelin star servers that wear the goatskin slippers so you can't hear them. That's them.
They were literally turned and then they all like synchronized swimmers just all at once. That was incredible. That was
wondering
amazing.
if you even saw them.
There has to be like a behind the scenes feature of that. That was
We gotta just
beautiful.
put GoPros on everybody. I'm stoked. Where do we start on this?
Okay. Oh my God. Yes, the black vinegar sauce.
You seemed very concerned about the black vinegar sauce. How much difficulty have you had?
I have had so much difficulty literally every time. I Uber Eats these frequently, and every single time I call them and I go, hey, can you make sure you have the black vinegar sauce? And they go, yep, we'll throw it in.
What the fuck?
Not any of the sauces you naturally throw in. This is a black vinegar sauce that you have to manually do off to the side. You have to pump it. You are on the same page about someone. They go, yeah. Every time they forget and they send like a molasses sauce of some kind and a sweet chili sauce. They're fine, but the black vinegar sauce makes these babies. It's gotta be the black vinegar.
This is the pot sticker sauce too. Like this is what you're supposed to dip dumplings in.
Yes.
So these look incredible. We got them just about 10 minutes ago. They arrived. We thought they'd be late, but this is like a local valley spot that's originally from Taiwan.
Yes.
That I've never been to before, so this is a new experience for me.
I'm very excited for you to experience this. Are you honest with if you like things or don't? Like you'll say?
Yeah, sometimes I think I'm too honest, and sometimes I'm like, I just told a guest that their mom's pork tenderloin with blue cheese sauce was like bad. And I felt, and it obviously like meant a lot to the guest and their mom. And I was like, why are you doing this? Just be agreeable. Would you prefer if I was agreeable or honest?
I would by far prefer if you're honest. I so respect it in a person, is even when it's maybe especially when it's uncomfortable to be on the receiving end of it. You just know where you stand.
Yeah.
You can, I feel like that's how trust is sort of gained, if somebody's being honest when it's uncomfortable.
I agree with that. I promise you I'll be honest.
Okay. I love it so much.
No, I feel extra pressure to try it.
I feel you feeling it. I feel you feeling it.
These are spectacular. These are like maybe my new favorite dumplings that aren't like a soup dumpling.
Yes, yeah, they're so good.
I love the way that you write about food. Both in I'm Glad My Mom Died and in Half His Age.
Thank you.
And my single favorite scene in the entire book involves these guys right here. Because so many people romanticize food as being about comfort, safety, and joy, but food is whatever we imbue into it. Food can also be anxiety, it can be mania, it can be terror. And there's a scene where Waldo, the protagonist, is sitting in her car eating honey mustard kettle chips, which is the greatest chip of all time in my opinion.
Thank you for agreeing.
But the way that she's like manically clawing at the crumbs as she's crescendoing in this anxiety, but also trying to power trip on what she can possibly hold over somebody. Was there any real life experience?
Let's fucking
that
go.
inspired
I
this?
did this in a day? What? What? I did that in a day? Oh my god! I did all 3 shows in a day! What? I did this whole beach in a day. What? In 11 minutes. What?
Dude.
Okay, there's a lot I want to cover here. I'm so glad that you bring this up specifically, just sort of
What?
the theme of food. I think I'll always write about food and body in one way or another. I had eating disorders for a large portion of my life. I've been eating disorder free proudly for years at this point.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. And now I find so much joy in food that it's sad to me that there were so many years where I did find it was the place, the vessel for my anxiety, for my shame, for my regret.
Yeah.
But I think there's something really interesting in that and in writing
Nice.
about that. I think that food is such a clear way to just get right to the heart of a character. How a character eats says so much about them because it's the thing that we all do, that we all have to do. And there's no hiding from it. There's no way of, there are a lot of, we can hide from socializing, we can hide from a lot, but we can't hide from eating.
Yeah.
And so I think eating really shows you who a character is. And I think that scene where Waldo's eating these so desperately communicates so much about who she is. I have certainly desperately eaten chips many times in my life, if that's what you're asking, and honey Dijon particularly, but now I eat them happily and proudly and with joy.
Please, happily eat chips. Well, I didn't mean to just turn the bag towards me, but that was my own dependency on the chips coming to play right there.
I felt it coming through.
The way you write, though, it's interesting because I understand the irony of me using an SAT word to describe this. It's like, it's vivid, but it's not florid. Like, it's very
What the fuck?
descriptive,
Florid?
but there's also something that's very matter-of-fact about it, almost as if you're merely reporting the facts that are there. Was that something that's very
Florid?
intentional, or was it the natural style that just emanated from you?
I so appreciate you saying that. I really appreciate and respect writing that is, at certain points, distanced and a little bit detached and just really plainly stated. I don't need somebody to tell me how to feel. I want to feel.
Yeah.
And I think that comes through most when there's not any sort of finger wagging or overly flowery writing. I really appreciate writers who are to the point and blunt and they just plainly state things. I don't know if you've read Flesh, but that's a recent book that I've really, really loved for that reason. And Ham on Rye is another one of my favorites that I really love for that reason. It's sort of naturally how I write as well. I don't think I have this rule where I say I'm not a big words writer. I'm not a big words person. I came from my family, nobody in my family had ever been to college. I didn't go to college. I'm not going to sit here pretending to know words that I don't or using words in my books that I don't use in real life.
It's funny because if you view your job as a writer as sort of like to communicate in the best way possible to the most amount of people,
Yeah.
there is something very democratizing about that, as opposed to using big words that I don't know, it feels very selfish in a way. And I'm putting this lens on me, especially if you look at anything I wrote when I was younger. It is just so overly written that I can barely.
I go back and forth. I go back and forth. I'm mostly like fourth, but I think it's nice when you have a word that means a very specific thing that you're looking for, right? Like if there's especially if it's like an action, you know what I mean? If it's like an action and it's like, well, yeah. But I think like flowery like adjectives, especially, I am not a big fan of at all. Like noun, sure, and verbs, like it's an action, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, overly like doing too much adjectives to me are just like
Even like stomach it.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you write a lot for fun, or was it?
I used to. So I wrote my first book that was half cookbook, half memoir when I was like 23, which is a great.
What a cool hook.
Yeah, it was something. But I think I remember the first sentence. We worshipped our grill like a deity that summer. Immediately could have said God. It was our 60,000 BTU Aztec sun god that bled propane into the sky for 12 hours a day.
Speaking of honesty, I'd be out. I'd be like, I can't read. This is my.
Yeah! It was me just going, I'm so smart, I'm so clever, look at me.
It's so funny you say this because so often with books that are, I mean, I could certainly appreciate a beautiful flowery sentence, but there are so many times when I'll read a book and my first instinct is to touch the author on the shoulder and go, you're enough. You're enough.
What we all want, right? We all just want to know that we're enough and we're okay.
The more often that somebody can feel like they're enough in their work when possible, I think it's really, I think it's a helpful thing.
Star Rail, oh my god.
Of confidence as a first-time author with your memoir to write with that amount of like brevity and sheer truthfulness. Where did you find that? Did this go through multiple revisions?
I'm a big reviser. There are plotters and there are pantsers in the writing world, and I'm certainly a pantser. My first drafts, I literally call them the vomit draft, where I have to just get it out, and it's super fast. It's very emotionally charged. And then there's this quote I love that says, "How will I know what I think until I see what I say?" That describes my writing style, where I then look over everything and I literally grab a highlighter and I highlight what I think it was that I was trying to say, what I think it was that I was trying to communicate, and then I keep drafting until I think it's clear, and the story's where it needs to be and the characters where they need to be, and it's usually many, many drafts. Where I'm glad I think it was like a dozen, and for half his age it was closer to 20 drafts.
Are these tracked in a Google Doc somewhere? Or
Yeah.
I pictured you on a typewriter.
No, I work in a Google Doc, which is like very, maybe I shouldn't even say that out loud for the publishing world. I'm so sorry to my editor, Jesse. I'm sorry for the pain I put you through. Typically, writers work on in Word. That's like the standard, but it just, I can't figure out the formatting. I'm really bad at technology. I know it's not like cute to say that. We're past the point where you can say that and it's like, oh, yeah, charming. Yeah. Like I know we're way past that, but I am bad at it. Yeah, that's just how it is. Yeah.
Tell me about the venti matcha latte with 5 pumps of classic syrup.
I've actually been off of caffeine for a few months now, but if I really need a pick-me-up, I'll go for this. But this is something that I drank a ton while I was writing Half His Age. And then they changed the recipe at some point when I was writing. And so I got it one day, as per usual, and took a sip and wanted to spit it out, and it was terrible, and it wasn't sweet, and it was not what it used to be. I went on Reddit, as one does. I found out that they switched their recipe to, initially they had included the sweetener. They stopped including the sweetener. And nobody could tell me how to get it to taste the way that it used to. And then randomly, sharing a vulnerable fact here, I went to Epic Universe, and I ordered an iced matcha latte, and they were like, "You want it sweet, right?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? Like, let's try that." And it came, and it was exactly the way that it used to taste. And I said, "What did you do? This is the old recipe. You guys changed it. Tell me how you made it taste like the old recipe." They said, "It's 5 pumps of classic. You're welcome." And we never spoke again.
Sometimes you have to travel all the way to Florida, to a different universe, in fact, to find the thing that brings you comfort and joy. Well, hey, cheers. I have no context for any of that. I've never had one of these. I'm so excited.
Have you not?
An intern had to take me to get my first matcha. I've had like traditional ceremonial matcha, ceremonies.
Okay, big words.
Okay, they call it that on the packaging. I'm not just that guy, I love Japan. Have you been? You have to go to Japan. I can recommend you some good animals.
I was in Japan on a solo trip when I was 24 when I first knew that I was going to write Half His Age, and then it just took years for it to come back around. It's my favorite place I've ever been. I think it's so beautiful. You've been
I've literally never been. No, I know. I was kind of doing a bit of the classic.
Oh, great.
White dude explaining to
great.
how much she would love art from a different country.
Well, isn't it great that I didn't pick up on it? Even better. Really helping our cause,
I think
ladies.
this is going on. Hey, speaking of Japan, we got sushi. So we have some sliced yellowtail belly that we quickly torched with a blowtorch just to get a little bit of sear on there, and then some wasabi, soy, and ginger.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Do you go chopsticks or hands with sushi?
Chopsticks. Do you do hands?
Yes.
Oh, are we supposed to do hands?
I think
I do hands, yeah.
Demystifying sushi is something. Yeah, please pause. Demystifying sushi is something that's really important to me.
Yeah.
You can do either. So many people are like, you have to dip it fish side down in the soy and flip it, yada yada. I think eat it any way you want to.
Okay, I may have to use hands here. Covering for the knees.
That's great. Look, no, don't look at her. Look at me.
Happy Page is a very sexual book, so that's the last thing I need on top of it.
Whose mouth and fingers are those?
Some random person. Not me. My attorney was like, is that you? I was like, no, don't worry, Maddie.
How did you go about writing the sex scenes? Because they are written in the same style as the way that you describe everything else. But was that like very deliberate to kind of like take the emotion out of it, or get people to imprint their own emotions onto it?
It's an addiction novel. It's a portrayal of a young woman struggling with a lot of complex emotions. It's a psychological examination of her, but certainly wouldn't say in any way it's a romance novel, despite there being a lot of sex. But yeah, I felt it was very important to write sex in the same way that I write other things. I don't appreciate or relate to much of sex writing. The kind where it's like, you know, the quivering hands and he touched the small of my waist and I felt the heat. Like there's always this heat coming from places. I don't know what we're talking. I mean, I know what we're talking about, but I don't relate to the way that we're talking about it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to write in that same way that's sort of, feels true to me, which is in a blunt, direct, plain way. And also not flowery and not overly sexualizing sex. I think sex can be really gross. I think it can be disgusting. I think it can be uncomfortable. And it can be
all gays and all
hot.
that.
And I think it's all of those things sometimes at the same time. And so I try to do that.
I think so many people essentialize, like we talked about with food. Food is comfort, food is love. It's like, I don't know, food can be a lot of different things. Ditto with sex. Sex can be an exercise in love, or it can be an exercise in power.
100%.
And I think you do a great job of really trying to get to the heart of why do people do things that they know are going to make them feel bad. It's just like the fundamental paradox of existing. I'm curious if you're worried about people misinterpreting that, because, you know, your first book sold several million copies.
Yeah.
This is certainly going to sell a hell of a lot of copies. You're going to get a lot of people who might not be the target demo that are going to understand it in the way that you want, or in good faith, insofar as there is a way that you want it to be understood.
Yeah.
Are you worried about it being misunderstood?
No, I do. I find misreads quite funny. I remember there was a misread on I'm Glad that the person tagged me in, and it was like a new mom. And there's this way that I end the book where I'm like reflecting on my relationship with my mom, and I'm saying, you know, of course moms are everything. They're on this pedestal. You know, of course we can't say a bad word about them. And typically I don't write with sarcasm, but there's a bit of sarcasm there for sure. And she screenshotted that, and she was like, I'm a new mother, and I've been struggling, and I needed to hear this, that moms can do no wrong, that we're perfect in every way. Yes. And I was like, honey, you got it wrong. You got it way wrong. Look at the title, or sorry, look at the title. I kind of expect that. I expect some people to read it and be like, love the student-teacher relationship, and that person is just, I don't know what they're doing. They're sorely mistaken.
Listen, I read the book and all that I got was, I need to get a Clockwork Orange poster stat. You'll find out. Ready to go to course number 2?
Please don't. Yes, I'm ready for course number 2.
So now for the second course of your final meal, we have the panino agli affettati misti from DeLuca's Deli. We have the sour cream and onion french fries, and then we have the Coke Icy. Wow. Did they scare you this time?
It was beautiful. Beautiful as ever. Amazing work, everybody.
Dance.
They're giving the thumbs up.
Where do we start here?
I think we got to start with the fries.
We gotta
right?
start.
They're steaming.
They really are. But
Wow.
all of this white dust is sort of collecting the steam
Yes.
and forming a cake on this. This is fantastic.
The white dust is key. The amount of dusting is key. Let me see this. I don't ever appreciate an under season. I want all of the seasoning on whatever I get, whether it's a pretzel or a fry or anything in between.
Everything else is just a vessel for the seasoning. This seasoning
great.
is...
Intense, right?
I told you I'd be honest. This
You
is
don't like
crazy.
it.
This is forsaking God. And I don't know that I'm a believer, but in nature, no food was supposed to taste like this.
Agreed.
And then undercover fries, which is now the potato corner at the Glendale Galleria. Or no, the Americana?
Americana. Used to live there, so I know.
That's right. Wow, this is something.
It's gonna go down worse. Like, you're gonna feel it. But it's worth it to me to just have it. Well, I'm not gonna finish that sentence. I was gonna say, well, I won't say it. But it's worth it.
I'm curious, you can whisper it or write it down.
I was gonna say it's worth it to have it in my mouth for even a second, and then I realized how that sounded, so I was trying to edit, but then I didn't, so there it
I'm
is.
staring at the cover of this book. You know what I mean?
It's great to have it in my mouth.
You referenced buying, well, Waldo, the protagonist, who surely has nothing to do with you on account of that's a fictional character and you're the author,
Of course.
references buying sour cream and onion powder that was discontinued in one of her manic shopping binges.
If you're asking, I may or may not have a package of sour cream, a 16-ounce package of sour cream and onion seasoning in my cupboard at this very moment, sitting waiting for me to sprinkle it over my super soft pretzels in the freezer.
That's incredible.
The sour cream and onion seasoning from Auntie Anne's was the greatest thing of all time. I loved it. I had those pretzels all the time growing up. And then they discontinued it and my heart broke, and so I searched online to find the right sour cream and onion seasoning that best emulated the Auntie Anne's one. And this one from Amazon was it.
There's something about
one day,
people
one day,
who
one
grew up
day.
on processed food, and I am very much one of those. Like, to me, Olive Garden was the fanciest restaurant.
I think
that
that's
I'd
it,
been to
y'all.
By the time I was, you know, a fully adult man.
Same.
You develop a different palate from a young age. To where I'm joking about this feeling ancestrally wrong, but no, this is
Yay! Nice. Awesome. Cool. Wow, I guess that's the minimum amount of days too. Awesome.
delicious. There are some people, like my wife didn't grow up eating fast food.
Yeah.
But she's like, this isn't food. This doesn't taste like food. And I'm like, like feeding a hummingbird nectar.
Yeah, I so agree. There's something where it speaks to me, it speaks to my soul, and anybody who grew up healthy does not relate at all. But I feel the same way about the Coke Icy, which we have here.
The what?
This is surely natural and organic, however. Literally, you took the soda that used to have cocaine in it, and then you said, how can we process this just a little bit further?
So I get one of these every single time I go to the theater. Like, this is my thing, this is my guilty pleasure. Growing up, we could never afford theater snacks. We could only go to the theater because my grandma actually worked.
Who the fuck can afford theater snacks? Y'all affording theater snacks? Oh, like... We're bringing food. Sorry. We're bringing snacks. We're going to go to Walmart. We're going to go to local grocery store, not Target. We're going to sneak it in, okay? You better stick it in those pants. You better put it in that fucking jacket of yours, okay? You better put it in that pocket or something, all right? Put it in that hat. I know some of y'all wear hats. Put it in the hat. You better bring that shit in. Are you joking? Mozzarella sticks! I'm sorry. We are not buying $20 fucking microwave mozzarella sticks. We are not, sorry, wrong one. We're not doing that. Like, we're not doing that. The upcharge? Do you have any idea? They probably make a fucking 500% profit on that food. You know that? What the upcharge?
At a drive-in theater for 25 years, so she got free sign-ins to Pacific theaters for her life. But she would
can get
sign us all
popcorn, that's
in,
fine.
and we could not afford any sort of movie theater snacks. And so I always thought, God, I just want an icy. I just want an icy.
$6 for a Kit Kat. Oh my god. 2 hours and 32 minutes. Not bad, right? How long have I been streaming? 3 hours? So 30 minutes of resetting? Not bad. Well, 20 minutes of resetting. Nice.
When I first started making money, I started getting my ices, and it's never stopped, and I love them very much, and I think it's one of the greatest tasting things in the world.
Cheers.
Cheers.
$8.
Do you start with the really soda-y part at the bottom?
I start with the soda part at the bottom, but
Okay.
then I like
Look at that. Wow.
gradually pull up. So like,
Let me do it too.
you reference ices in both your books.
Do I? And I'm glad. I didn't know. I know I didn't half his age.
And I'm glad you get a Coke Icy from Burger King. That is while your mom was in the hospital after the most.
This guy looks annoyingly healthy. This guy looks annoyingly healthy. Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? He looks like he looks like he gets up at fucking 6 and goes to the gym and has like his multivitamin like AG1 smoothie, and goes for a run with the dogs and comes back and starts writing and edits some videos for a few hours and responds to some emails, and then goes to like the sauna, like his rich ass house. I don't know why, but I don't know, something about LA and like just like rigid, healthy morning routine. I don't know.
Frightening day of your life when your mom was having a seizure in your arms. I have a fair amount of traumas with food memories very specifically associated with them. I can't see. I'm glad it's not a popular food, but chicken white bean chili.
Say more.
What the fuck?
My dad was
What is that?
in
That sounds good.
coma for about a week before he ultimately passed, and we would be eating at the hospital cafeteria. And when I get really stressed, I try and control the things in my life that I can. And for me, never really manifested in like an eating disorder. I used quotes because I think you could look at a lot of tendencies and maybe diagnose something, but for me it was more like orthorexia, exercise bulimia type of stuff.
Yep.
But I was also a scholarship athlete at the time, so I was like, this is good. And so I was just trying to find the most protein-ridden, healthy thing in a hospital cafeteria. And so I would eat quarts of chicken white bean chili. And then I would go binge work out at a 24-hour fitness till 3 in the morning while listening to heavy metal. But literally the thought of eating a chicken white bean chili like physically raises my adrenaline levels.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you have that with a Coke Icy, or has that just been lost?
Wow.
Like tears in the rain.
It does. There's something about just knowing that I'm going to the theater where I honestly get more excited for the IC than the movie. Like, it doesn't even matter what we're seeing. It certainly has a long-lasting effect, because it goes from when I first know we're going to see the movie, and then of course the Coke effects don't wean off until several.
Okay, so what are we gonna do? Like, what? Okay, so what are we gonna do? Like, there's a whole half video left, 40 minutes of the video left, and I finished Pikmin. So, and we were gonna play Rivals, so we're not gonna watch a video while playing Rivals, right? I'm not gonna be able to pay attention. So what do? Do we just watch it later? Pikmin 1? Honestly, I was thinking about it. But, Shiny Hunt? No, I'm not gonna do that. Bookmark it for later? It's not a bad idea. Let's go through the food-linked memories. Okay, I'll do something else, and then we can end on this 28-minute mark.
Hours, so it's. Yeah. I find it very helpful. I find it great. But so you don't go anywhere near the chili anymore?
I couldn't possibly do it, no.
I actually wanted to ask you about this because both of your parents are deceased. Is that right? Okay. It came up in an episode where you'd mentioned that both of your parents had passed, and then it was just not discussed. And I'm like, I was like waiting for it. And I thought, the episode, we're not talking about, both of his parents died. What's happening? I have to know what you're willing to share about that. Like, I mean, to have both your parents gone and...
One of the reasons I really gravitated towards I'm Glad My Mom Died is because I read the title and I went, same dog, But my mom, the last time I saw her was when I was 14 and estranged for about 10 years, and then got an email that she had passed away.
Wow.
That she took her own life. I knew she was homeless, living on the streets. I believe she suffered from schizophrenia. Got a random email from like the Virginia sheriffs. No, it was from her biological brother who lived in Australia that I'd met once when I was 4. Wow. And the sheriff's office contacted him, and that was sort of it. But then my dad, who I lived with for a lot of my life, that passed away when I was 19, went in for not a routine surgery, but not like a super high risk surgery, and just never made it out.
So it was a shock.
It was a huge shock, my dad, yeah.
Oh my God. How was the processing then of that? I mean, I imagine the processing of both were so different. So wait, so you were 24 when your mom passed?
But I hadn't seen her in 10 years. So for me, I don't know that I ever properly grieved.
Yeah.
My way of dealing with it was control. Just control. I need to make it. I have nobody on my side. You are on an island, and if you don't work and if you don't grind, and you are now solely your accomplishments.
Wow.
And solely something that you can point to and hold on to. And this is just an empty husk.
Oh,
Did you deal with something similar?
Yes,
Yeah.
I relate so much. I'm getting a little emotional. I'm breathing through it, but yeah, I completely relate. I think it's so great that you said that. When you lose the person that you love so much, when you lose the person that's that largely informs your identity, you're clawing for something and you're desperate you're desperate for them, right? But instead, it sort of manifests as this deep control. Of course, for me, it was eating disorders and a number of other kind of habits. But it sounds very similar.
Yeah, similar, but it looks very different.
Yes,
Especially on a gendered spectrum, it gets treated very differently.
Yes.
It's so funny. I really resonated with a part in I'm Glad My Mom Died, where you talk about seeing the number on a scale and how it was so much easier to put your whole identity into that number than to think about everything else, to think about your emotions, your traumas, your relationships. My identity is this number, and this is insane. My number was how far I could throw a 16-pound metal ball. Literally after my dad died. Like, you have a personal best in the sport that I devoted my entire life to.
Yes.
And I was like, if this number goes higher, then I'm fine, and everything else can take a back seat to that.
Black and white thinking can be so much simpler, so much cleaner, I think, especially for people like you and I who tend to really have high standards and want to accomplish things, and it's just, well, this makes sense, so I'm gonna go for this because life is, unfortunately and fortunately, I think, a gray area. Like, it is all gray areas. There are some things that are black and white, but few things that are black and white, I think. How did you overcome the sort of eating issues or body issues?
This is the crazy thing. I got happier. There were more sources of joy and safety in my life. And like, I feel really bad because if anybody ever asks me for advice, I'm just like, well, I got a job that paid me more and I felt good about my future and that I have purpose in what I do. And I met a romantic partner who loves me dearly and unconditionally despite me kicking and thrashing against it all the time.
Oh my God.
Also
relate.
And now I don't need that sense of control or cheap temporary pleasures like I used to because I feel simply comfortable.
Wow.
When was the first time that you felt that comfort?
I don't think comfort came for a long time, but some form of strength and power came in eating disorder recovery for me. I did see a therapist who really specialized in that, and he was so helpful. He had me do things that I didn't expect would be a part of recovery, including like finding value in the eating disorder, which I thought, well, I'm trying to get over the eating disorder. Why am I sitting here writing a list of all the ways it helps me? Like, that sounds counterproductive. But in fact, it was very productive because he said you need to figure out exactly what value it's delivering in order to be able to replace it with something of equal or stronger value. It was so helpful, but figuring out what my values are that I want to live by was so transformative for me, and then living in accordance with those values as opposed to, I'm very goal driven by nature. So instead of, sort of putting goals, to the side for a moment and instead just saying, what are my values? And if I'm living every day, living every choice as often as I can by these values, then that's going to give me that sense of purpose that you spoke about. So I would say ultimately it was values and purpose that helped me to kind of find that strength and power. And then eventually I think the comfort came with my partner of 9 years, who it's the ultimate comfort. It's the ultimate source of love for me. And it has been hugely helpful. But I don't think I would have found him had I not initially really been working on myself and my healing. I think it wouldn't have been a fit.
Would you describe your relationship as independent, codependent? Because that was always the thing that I struggled with.
Oh God.
This person can be my sense of safety and only sense of safety, and if they ever go anywhere, then I'm right back to where I was when I was a kid. That's a bad place.
Yeah, I do grapple with that. One of my biggest fears would be like, us not being together, and then I try to just check that. But I would say, he's my rock and I'm my rock.
Yeah.
I got two rocks. We're golden. But I would say we're independent, but then I certainly have very codependent tendencies.
Sure.
And that's something that I've worked on, and I've actively worked on in therapy throughout the course of the relationship, because I do want to cultivate my own independence, and it's something that actually really matters to me. I think my nature's probably more independent, actually, and my upbringing was certainly more codependent. So I have that wiring that just needed some unwiring, and I would say now I'm at a what feels like a healthy, independent place.
This therapist that you were seeing, he's also the one that convinced you to sell your house in Studio City. That was causing you a ton of problems, and then you moved above a deli.
You what?
What a segue.
I did. I moved to the Americana at Brand, which is, for any LA local knows this is the shopping mall that blares Frank Sinatra music whenever you're shopping. Or if you live there, all hours of the day.
Yes.
So literally 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. it'd be like, fly me to the moon.
Oh my god.
And I just basically like,
that sounds awful.
Like by day 3, I was going, what have I done? And then I wound up living there for like 4 years because this was truly like my recovery time when I really just needed to be focusing on myself and living a healthy life. And so environment really didn't matter at that point. Frank was helpful. So was there for a while, but the biggest takeaway that I got from my time living there was this puppy right here. The Agliafatati Misty from, I think it's called DeLuca's Deli. It used to be called Dean and DeLuca's.
I think it's called DeLuca's Deli. I think Dean and DeLuca's has officially gone out of business, but
Oh.
somebody must have saved DeLuca's.
Thank
What is
God.
that? Both of these foods
Thank
have
God.
changed names, but kept the same foods they used to have.
And both are at the Americana ad brand, so we see a theme here.
Incredible. I'm just afraid if you ever hear Frank Sinatra, it's gonna be like a Russian sleeper agent, and you're just gonna either start crying or go into a type of hypermania.
Okay, here we go.
There's a purple I wasn't expecting.
I don't know what the purple is. I've tried to figure it out. You tell me if you know.
The purple appears to be... Wait a tick. No, I thought it was a cabbage, but there's almost no texture to it.
You barely notice it, but the flavor's great.
The flavor's great.
It's that like surprise. This would be a different sandwich if it didn't have the purple.
Agreed entirely.
And I like the, are these, I don't know what the proper name is, but banana peppers?
Banana peppers. And you are a fan of banana peppers.
Yes, love them.
You write very interestingly about banana peppers.
Why do you know more about my food writing than I do?
What?
You know what it actually is?
What?
Every time there's a food reference in anything,
Yeah.
it is the thing that I naturally gravitate towards and remember.
Wow.
I can tell you that Waldo makes herself an omelet with banana peppers in it.
That's right.
I don't know why I don't like. I don't know. Something about this guy. I don't know.
For sex, and it's kind of the first time that she's like eating something that isn't just a packaged food, and it seems like a metaphor for some sort of like self-esteem and actual look towards sustenance.
Spot on.
You know,
Yeah.
you ever actually put banana peppers in an omelet? That's crazy.
I have. I've put banana peppers on a lot. I love banana peppers, and the new thing is tamed jalapeno peppers. So I would do banana peppers because I wanted something tamer than a jalapeno pepper, and then I found that you could find a tamed jalapeno pepper. Do you know this?
Yeah, no,
It just changed my life.
Ready to move on to
know.
the third course?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Jeanette, for the third course of your final meal, we have the udon noodles and a creamy broth.
The
and a
who?
Robex evergreen juice. We're seeing
The
some
Amira
themes
noodles.
develop in giant cups of green liquid.
I'm a beverage lady. I love a good beverage. Honestly, that was something that I didn't realize until brainstorming, which I did for this. I have a full note in my notes folder of like the kills and the things that almost made the cut that didn't quite make the cut. And there were a lot of beverages on that. I was like, okay, there's way too many. I could just have a last meal of all of the beverages that I love. I've got to limit this a little bit.
Wait, I don't think I've had a Robex juice. This was something that like I remember going to as a kid. Orange County is the land of chains. So at any point there was a Juice It Up or a Jamba Juice or a Robex
Yes.
on any corner, but Robex won out for you.
Yeah, Robex went out. I love their evergreen. Jamba used to do green juices, and they no longer do. They just do smoothies. So
You know, they have officially taken juice out of the name.
have they?
Are you
It used to be called
serious?
Jamba Juice. It is now just Jamba.
Well, at least they changed the
Jamba?
name. It would be quite misleading if they kept the juice and then just didn't offer juices. How rude. But I appreciate the name change in that case.
Juice.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Here's a story, because this is not
Juice,
supposed to be, like,
juice,
tasty
juice,
and good.
juice,
No,
juice,
Right, it's a good
juice,
idea. When I lived at
juice.
the mall, I had it literally every day because I could just walk to the green juice place in the mall. And to me, it's like girl math, but it's like girl eating, non-eating disordered girl eating.
Yeah.
Thank God. Where I will
Thank God.
think that an evergreen juice like balances out whatever I've had. So literally, if I have like the potato corner, now known as undercover fries, I'll have those, and then I'll get a green juice to balance it out, and I'll go, I'm good.
I don't even think that's girl math, or you can probably link to disordered eating, of course, but I think that is actually how it works.
Okay,
And the
great.
way I've heard it phrased is like be additive about your diet, not subtractive.
Yes.
Right? So it's like if you want a grilled cheese for dinner, eat a grilled cheese, have a salad too to get some freaking micronutrients that you know are good for you.
Totally.
Put some protein on that, etc. This is just additive to the
sucks.
fries.
Yes,
you know?
completely. Also, I love these. I do love these,
I
despite
don't
their
know.
taste, because I think
Something's
that
off about
feeling
this
of like,
guy. I
oh, this
don't
is
know.
good for me. This is my health. This is great.
Yep.
And
Maybe
it
it's
is
just
something
me.
that Jamie, the eating disorder therapist, had mentioned. He said balance is everything, and a big key in recovery was neutralizing food. So there's no good foods, there's no bad foods.
yeah.
I had so much judgment around different foods, and a cookie is a bad food, and a piece of broccoli is a good food. And he clearly did a good job of cutting that away for me, and I did as well, because I view these two things with just as much joy and pleasure.
That's an interesting taste.
Together, it's very
That's
interesting.
an interesting taste. They need to make the grass flavored Coke, I see.
It's not as bad as I thought, honestly.
Yeah, I'll play with
mixing the
viewers.
two.
Yeah, why not?
You directed a really fantastic short film, wrote and directed a really fantastic short film about disordered eating, starring my favorite comedian of all time and friend of the show, Maria Bamford,
Love Maria so much. She's
called
amazing.
Strong Independent Women. Is that something that you'd ever want to turn into a feature? I mean, it's only 8 minutes. It is like really very visually arresting, tremendous storytelling. I'm a huge fan of it.
Oh my God, thank you so much. That's so nice. I actually hadn't had any plans or thoughts to turn that into a feature. I hadn't built it out in any way. I'm trying to think if I've done that with any of my existing shorts. I don't think I have, but I have plenty of feature scripts that I want to build out. And actually, Half His Age is something that I adapted into a screenplay this past year with the intention of directing it. So I can't wait.
You know what I want to watch at some point? I don't know if I can on stream, but you know what I want to watch at some point? You know who I want to see? I want to watch Oprah. Like, not like the show, but like, I want to watch Oprah interviews. I don't know. I want to watch those. I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking about because it's the anniversary of that GIF of the Oprah emote. And I was like, and she was on the show, and I was like, oh yeah. She was like low key, and then she got like her Oprah empire or whatever, but like I don't know. I was kind of like, it'd be interesting to see like some interviews from her, you know what I mean? Because when I was younger, she was doing all that, but I didn't understand communication like how I do now as an adult. So it'd be nice to go back and listen to some of those and see like what the big hype was about with her, you know what I mean? Because I didn't really get it, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It was
to
off
see
kind of
that
thing.
come to life at some point. It's very early stages, but I think it'll make a really great transition to screen.
If Maria Bamford is not cast in that movie, I'm going to refuse to see it.
She'll be Waldo. I'll cast her as a 17-year-old.
Tell me about the udon noodles. This is something.
Something.
This is a bowl of food.
This is a bowl of food.
This is a bowl of
What were
food
you
that
expecting?
exists.
What were you expecting? Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
So we have taken some pork tonkotsu broth, and then we actually cut it with a little bit of heavy cream and butter sort of emulsified in there, and then some al dente cooked udon noodles. This is kind of giving like fettuccine Alfredo vibes, but in a beautiful
I saw
way.
that.
Is this what you imagined on your last meal?
Really, it's just I love udon noodles, but I don't like all the fixins, and I love a creamier broth as opposed to just the kind of runny like bone broth.
Yeah,
of whatever
kind of a long simmered stock.
I probably should have included a link of some kind to some reference point. My apologies.
No, we kind
But
of
this
like
smells
the artistic
amazing.
challenge. I'm really
great.
stoked on this.
I think there was a question for clarity, and I was like, how do I clarify?
I think all we said was any toppings. You went, nope.
This is very much a cross between fettuccine and like a classic udon noodle, right?
I'm having the best time. There's a way that udon noodles really fill your mouth
Yes.
in like a pleasant way that no other noodle does. Food is sexual. Get over it. We all
fills
gotta
your mouth
eat.
so
We all
well.
gotta. That's the name of the show. That's what we've been talking about for years. That is just a metaphor for it all.
So I first took a solo trip to Japan, I mentioned, when I was 24. And that's when I really first started, honestly, trying Japanese food. I, of
Hi,
course, tried
crew.
sushi beforehand, but got my hands on some good udon and ramen. The food was amazing. It's some of my favorite food, and udon just... You mentioned comfort earlier, and food potentially being a vessel for comfort, as well as a vessel for other things. This is my vessel for comfort, for sure.
It's interesting not having grown up with any like traditional comfort foods outside of fast food.
Yeah.
You know, which is, I think, why you reference so many brands in your writing, which I can really identify with. The Mormons, of which you grew up as a second-rate Mormon, you would say.
Yes.
They have a very unique style of cuisine.
Oh, yeah.
Did you grow up eating any of the classics like Hawaiian haystacks, funeral
what?
potatoes, lime jello salad?
I remember all of these, but it's been a minute since I've been... Last time I was in church, I was 18. I guess 21. My mom's funeral was at the church. But yeah, what are the haystack one? What is that?
It's some
coconut?
very holy combination. It's coconut, there's pineapple, but it's also condensed cream of mushroom soup with chicken on rice.
Oh.
And then there's crunchy chow mein sticks on top. That's the haystacks.
I remember a lot of chow mein sticks being, like that was their go-to topping.
Yeah.
Even when it'd be like a bean dip and they'd be like, chow mein sticks. It's like, okay guys, we can use some editorial skills here, but Mrs. Smith loved that. Sister Smith, sorry.
I feel like people who grew up Mormon, they either bought in really, really hard, or they rebelled against it super, super hard and want nothing to do with organized religion.
Crew, thank you so much but you can't hear me, you're watching ads.
Is that where you're at now in terms of like spirituality and religion?
I rebelled against it super hard after my mom died and just, really blamed it for a lot of so much guilt in the LDS
Thank you for
culture,
6
the Latter-day
years.
Saints culture that I felt, and I even as a young person had confused, you're gifted the Holy Ghost when you're 8 years old. I had OCD. I confused my OCD with the Holy Ghost, so I thought the thing telling me to touch my underwear 10 times and spin around 5 times and I was a lot of ritualistic
Shit, that's so funny.
Was the Holy Ghost. I'd be like, oh my God, the Holy Ghost, or oh my gosh, sorry. The Holy Ghost is telling me to do this thing so I can book this role so I can save my family. Honey, that's mental illness. That is not the Holy Ghost.
And I like how you still corrected oh my God to oh my gosh, just in case the mental illness that you're talking through gets offended by that.
Of course.
But that kind of speaks to the power of
yes,
what we all sort of believe very, very strongly.
Yes. So I really rebelled at that point, and then now I think organized religion works for some people. I think it can be useful for some people. It certainly does not work for me. I would consider myself vaguely spiritual. I'm not rubbing crystals, but I am aware that I'm not, that the universe is bigger than me, and there's a lot out there, and there's a lot that leaves me in awe and with a sense of wonder. How about you?
I remember my high school girlfriend, I called her a f***ing idiot for believing that Jesus Christ was the Messiah because I was very scared in my own life, and that was my way of saying, no, I'm right, because if I'm not right, then I have nothing else. At least you have Jesus, and I have a mentally ill mom and an absent dad. And so I hurt a lot of people by being that rage-filled edgelord when I was a kid, and then now, as I've gotten older, you see things in a more bird's eye view, and I think you just sort of soften all your beliefs because you realize how difficult it is to traverse this thing called life. But have you noticed your rage softening over the years? Because rage is a huge theme in this book, but also
I still got plenty of rage.
Yeah, you had more. You gotta get it out, though.
I do. I actually think I'm glad rage is coming up because I think anger is such a useful, mobilizing emotion. I'm curious your relationship to it as a straight white man, right? Because mine as a straight white woman is that we're told to not have it. I think all women are told to be polite, to be agreeable, so that you can get further. Don't speak up, don't be difficult, and I think that's all bullshit. I am exhausted by all that. I literally feel that in my body as I'm saying it. I start to get a little tingly. I feel the rage getting activated. It's grateful that I'm addressing it.
You get exhausted from suppressing the rage.
From suppressing the rage. So much of my life growing up was suppression between the Mormon church and between surrendering my own needs and desires for my mom. So I really did not have access to my rage, my resentment, my guilt, all of those quote unquote negative emotions, right? I was allowed to be happy, I was allowed to be grateful, but everything else, sadness, really was off the table. So I was feeling those things but suppressing them and didn't come to terms with them or start unpacking them or start having a healthy relationship to them until after my mother's death. And that's when I really started meeting my anger face to face and figuring out, okay, what can I do with this anger and finding healthy ways of channeling it? The biggest one being, for me, writing. I write with a lot of rage. I think it's the emotion that I write the best from, the most effectively from. And I think it's my rage tells me what I have to say. It's the thing that if I'm feeling rage about this thing, we got to go there. We have to explore this because any other emotion is just less mobilizing. I feel there's less to say, there's less to process through it. And writing for me there's so much processing in it. So I love my rage. I feel less of it towards certain things, and of course it's still there toward other things. And I'm always working through it, and it's always welcome in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flip it, and that's me.
Really?
As a straight white dude, especially a kind of taller person who grew up playing sports, so people assume I have some sort of authority. My rage was rewarded. I was about to say my authority. No, that's what we bullshit colloquialize rage into, right? And so I learned how to like weaponize that rage.
Yes.
Only to like get what I wanted, or frankly to get what other people wanted. Because I was like, I know that I'm like 6'2", 200 pounds. I can walk into my boss that's 15 years older than me, and I can kind of puff in my chest and go, "We need to do this now." And he'd go, "Okay," you know, and then I like slunk away and be like, "Oh, thank God, that was exhausting." And so for me, having vulnerability never be rewarded, but having rage always be rewarded, that rage exhausts me now.
Wow.
When I
White
write,
House.
the truth that comes out is just
I found it under the couch.
The wow's sinking. Thank you, Minnie, for the 10 months. I appreciate it.
sad. Because
Thank
that
you.
rage was just masking some sort of
Wow.
sadness the entire time. And I think there's
White
almost
House.
there's a vulnerability in having that power when you don't want it.
That is so fascinating. I've never heard that articulated before. It's surprising. I'm kind of speechless.
I mean, do you think rage is just a function of powerlessness? It seems like when you're writing and there's this kind of little bubble of rage, it's always associated with some sort of feeling of powerlessness.
I think absolutely it's a feeling of powerless. I think for women, it's largely having your boundaries violated over and over and over and over and over again, and not having the language or tools to advocate for yourself while those boundaries are being violated, not having the societal messaging to be able to feel like you can advocate for yourself, and then eventually that's compounded year after year after year after year, and the rage starts to bubble up and starts to spill out because it can't stay suppressed forever. It's like shaking a soda can.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's going to start to explode.
Or it just turns into an ulcer immediately and starts bleeding in your insides.
One of the two.
Yeah.
And so then it starts coming out in surprising places, or maybe not so surprising places, but then I think those are the moments when it's, okay, it's time to come to terms with it. It's time to try to explore it in healthier ways, because when it comes out in unintended ways, that's when it can become scary and toxic.
And I'm glad my mom died, you said that the first time you ever felt power was when you wrote a screenplay called Henry Road.
Yeah.
Gave it to your mom. Do you remember that feeling vividly of writing that when you were a kid?
I remember it well. It really did feel like freedom, which I still feel with writing. Oftentimes for my first few drafts, then it really becomes work. Then, of course, there is no inner critic. I was 10 and I was just playing and writing, and it was that complete feeling of freedom. And it was the story of a little boy with a single dad, with a neighbor who was a little girl with a single mother, and surprise, they put their parents together, and it works. And it ends with the dance sequence at Universal Studios. I was like, that'd be fun. They're like dancing in front of E.T. Woo!
I still think that's fun. I think that's awesome. Make it.
Okay, that'll be my first
Put it on
feature. That'll be the
Kickstarter.
debut.
I got $50 on it. Let's do
Oh my God. You write though? Do you still write since you don't?
I burnt myself out so hard. I was an editor at a magazine, and I had a content quota, so I'd be writing, 4 or 5 pieces a week, whatever, while editing other people. I was freelancing a weekly column for somebody else. I think it was Maxim. I was trying to get as many bylines as possible, so I was just killing myself trying to do this. And then I got a cookbook deal, and I didn't take any time off of work. Most people take book leave if they're a journalist and want to write something.
I'm shocked.
And instead, I ended up basically procrastinating the entire time that they gave me to write the manuscript. And basically, I had a 50,000 word manuscript due with 2 weeks on the clock. And so I ended up staying up for 5 straight days on a cocktail of study drugs, and then having a catatonic meltdown in a Starbucks.
As one does.
As one does. As one does. But as far as writing for fun, I don't think I can touch it.
You don't think you can?
I'd love
you
to
just
get
don't
to that
want to.
point.
Or you okay. So
But-
you want to at some point, but what would it take to get there, do you think? What would have to change?
It's funny because my initial response would be like, well, I'm very busy here, and I'm busy with my relationships, and then I have my hobbies, and I like going to the gym.
Please, the busy excuse. I feel like, especially LA culture, it loves to say, "Oh, I'm too busy. I'm too busy." I'm sorry. I think the busy sort of headline is such an excuse. I wish we could get over it. And I feel like it's so reinforced in LA because that's the thing. Everyone wants to be busy. Why are we so proud of being busy? We're more proud of being busy than having a fucking life. Sorry, again, we're so proud of being busy that we don't have a fucking life.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Life is beautiful and wonderful, and it ought to be lived, not just spending it being busy. Hustle culture. It's ridiculous. Okay, I'm done. I'll step down.
Well, now I just want to write. Hear me out. Can I use the title, I'm happy my mom passed away?
Yes. Go for it.
Or we can just do I'm glad my mom died too.
I'll be the
Electric
first reader.
Boogaloo. There's a breakdancing sequence at the end. Jeanette, for the final course of your final meal on Earth, you got a root beer float.
She's beautiful.
She's wonderful. This is Bark's root beer with some hand-dipped by Tony's hands vanilla ice cream inside of there with the long spoon to dig at your leisure.
Thank you, Tony.
You're the man, Tony.
I got a thumbs up.
What is the proper strategy on eating or drinking a root beer float?
I would say you gotta sip the root beer first. Get kind of as much clean root beer as you can at the bottom.
Okay.
And then you scoop the ice cream, you do it separate, and then you do it together sort of at the midpoint right there. I don't know why, it's like a quality check. That is so good.
Why a root beer float on the last meal? What connection do you have with it?
Growing up, I did have root beer floats. They're a big thing actually in Mormon culture because a lot of Mormons don't drink. They don't drink beverages with caffeine.
It's the OG dirty soda. I never thought about that.
There you go.
Oh my god.
And it has to be barked root beer because sometimes people, if you go to a restaurant and they have a root beer float on the menu, it's always like some artisanal, handcrafted bullshit. And I don't want to go anywhere near that. I want my root beer white trashy as I once was.
You're adapting I'm Glad My Mom Died into a show. You're executive producing it.
A show?
Does any part of you worry about losing that control of your own narrative? Because like you talk about the power of writing and how much control you
I
feel.
forgot about fucking PT.
Now
Jesus
you got a
Christ.
whole
Oh my
company
God.
involved.
Beautiful question. I'm executive producing, showrunning, creating, writing all 10 episodes. That sounds like a lot of control, right? Less so than you think in the TV world. The TV world there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and it's been tricky. I won't lie, it's been very tricky to navigate because it's my life story, and it's something that I wrote as a piece of art. I think in the memoir, and I think I did so very well. I really understand the story. I think with a subjective viewpoint and understand what makes it entertaining. I also think it's a really specific tone, and it's a tone that's easy to make melodramatic, and it's a tone that's easy to make flippant. And I desperately do not want it to be either of those things.
What were your goals for I'm Glad My Mom Died, and then how has that affected your goals for Half His Age?
Oh my God, I'm directing Half His Age for sure, and it's a film.
Yeah.
I'm not doing TV again. I think there is a much more productive way of doing things, which to me is what I've encountered in the literary space, where you've got your editor, you've got your publisher, and everybody's sort of on board about what something is or isn't from the get-go, and there's no games involved. There's just transparency. To me, it seems like a much healthier system. I'm sure there are dark aspects to the literary space and the publishing world, but I found it to be one that operates from a place of being very above board and being very transparent, and I've had a really lovely experience in that world. I'm very grateful for it.
You've tried on a lot of different identities. You had Jeanette McCurdy, the daughter, that was certainly a heavy identity for a long time. The actor, the country singer. How does Jeanette McCurdy
Country
novelist
singer.
sit with you?
It sounds wonderful, it sounds lovely, but values has been a theme here, and I try to operate from a place of values as opposed to any sort of career identifier or relationship identifier or anything. And it's tricky, being somebody who puts so much of my worth in my work. It sounds great. I love how that sounds, but I try actively to go, okay,
What the fuck?
I really care about growth.
Happened to
I
my
care about
speed?
creativity. I care about authenticity. How can I live my life by these values?
What?
And God, I'm sorry, it's making me emotional. You know what, I want to apologize. It's making me emotional, but it's really important to me to live by those values, so I try to do that.
Yeah. What are those core values that you really hold dear? Like when you were on that rocking chair?
Growth, creativity, authenticity, honesty. Those four. That has led me. Those have been my North Star. And I know if I'm misaligned, if I'm feeling off, if I'm feeling really frustrated with my life, I'm going, okay, something's not happening here. What is it? Am I not being creative enough? Am I not growing and stretching myself enough? Am I not being authentic with people? Am I not leading with honesty and trying to play the game, or am I trying that? Because if I'm doing that, it's just not going to work. I think life, for me, my experience of it has only worked when I've lived in accordance with those values. And anytime things start to veer off, it's because I'm not living by those.
Yeah. There's kind of a theme in Half His Age of expectations,
Yes.
which I've always found really fascinating about them. It's always been a great way for me to protect myself, to just have low expectations from those around me, and frankly from myself and my own accomplishments.
It sounds like you have such high ones with you mentioned the control and after your father died and exhaustive sort of exercise, but so you think sometimes you have
I think it's the high ones are in response to me naturally having low ones. It's an overcompensating kind of situation.
The pendulum.
You know, like a shoot for the stars but land on Jupiter or whatever kind of thing. But how have your expectations for your own life changed since you were young?
Well, since I was very young, I sort of stifled them, right? And then in my 20s, post my mom dying, I quit acting and I wanted to write, and I was writing full time despite being paid nothing for it, and my writing, nobody wanting to open documents that I sent and just not making any headway whatsoever, and thinking, did I make the worst decision? Was this stupid? Why did I think I could do this? And then eventually making headway, and now way exceeding my wildest expectations. I'm so grateful to be able to do what I do. I'm so honored to do it. I feel much freer than I ever expected. I think if little me, 8-year-old me were sitting here right now, she'd just be in awe and so excited and just so happy. So I'm happy for her. I mean, there was a time in my 20s when I just said, I just hope I can be, a staff writer. And now, of course, I'm show running and have exceeded that. And when I just thought, oh, how can I get a book deal? Is there any way? And just, it's wild to see now what I have. And I would never change specifically writing books and the career that I have there. I would not change a thing. But I do have moments where
2 more and I get a free
I
waffle
realize
cone.
my
Turn up
goalposts
the lights
move,
in here, baby.
and
Extra bright.
I don't
want
think
you all
there's
to
any
see
way
this.
of
Turn up the
winning
lights
that.
in here, baby. You know
So if
what
you
I
have
need. Want
tips
you to
or
see everything.
info, let me know.
I was hoping you had tips and info on how. I think the Buddhists kind of figured out a lot: attachment, root of suffering, all that stuff.
They did.
Hi, Puffy. Thank you for the 24. 2 years. Oh my god.
Yeah, well, from like a much younger age than
2 more, and I get a free waffle cone.
Than I did. Like, you grew up completely surrounded by the idea of death. From your mom having metastatic breast cancer. What do you think happens when you die, and how is that affected from a very young age?
I don't know. I'm only thinking of what supposedly Steve Jobs said, where he was just like, "It's beautiful, it's beautiful." I think I'm probably misquoting.
He said that like on his deathbed.
Yeah.
Whoa.
He said something. Somebody can probably fact check, but he said
hallucinogens. He was like an early ayahuasca guy, right?
Was he?
Was he? Someone should fact check that before you defame the Steve Jobs estate.
I know he was a fruitarian.
He was a fruitarian?
We're getting it all wrong. I'm quite sure he only ate apples for a month. But no, and you hear these stories of people saying like, "Oh, it's glorious, it's beautiful." I have no idea. I hope it's something like being on MDMA. I think that'd be great. I think that'd be like, I'd be cool with staying in that state forever.
We grew up in like the golden age of EDM music too. So like for us, we just hear Clarity starts playing.
What?
Oh God, I hope not.
You ready to get in the lightning round?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Unless, Annalise, if there's anything you want us to go back to. Wait, Steve Jobs said, "Oh wow."
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Or did he say, "Oh ow. Oh ow"? Where's the spacing in the W's? Jeanette, who's the one person dead or alive you'd want to share your actual last meal with?
I mean, my partner. Of course, there's nobody else. It'd be horrific and complicated, but that'd be the only person I'd want to share it with, I think.
What song do you want to be played at your funeral?
We gotta go.
Oh my god, what song do I want played at my funeral? Oh my god, I don't know. Oh, that's an interesting one. Oh, would I want it funny? Dory Demo? Dory Demo. Hold on. We are gathered here today.
Welcome to Dory's Demo. Only thing coming to mind is Wind Beneath My Wings, which is what my mom played, and it was, in retrospect, hilarious.
Who plays Waldo and Mr. Corgi in the Half His Age movie?
I have spoken to a few actors already who are incredible. So I
oh my god, did we get to Rob Mall?
Probably can't or shouldn't say that. In terms of Mr. Corgi, there are some ideas that I have. One person who I love, who I'm obsessed with, is John Gallagher Jr.
I'm going to show you the guy. I don't know if you did this when you're reading a book. This is a terrible lightning round, but this is the thunder round. It's slow rolling. But I don't know if you do this thing where you read a book and you kind of like, you imagine a new person that you've never seen before, but then you realize it's actually just a character actor from a show.
Yeah.
But then you really think about it and you look in your mind's eye and you go, oh no, it's the guy from Gen V the Boys spinoff, who's been in a couple other things
Yeah.
that you like.
I was gonna say,
The what?
that is Patrick Wilson, but I feel like he's surpassed character actor, right?
About to say Patrick.
Really?
I cycled through Patrick Wilson.
He was
for
an
Mr.
option?
Corgi. He was literally an option, and then I chose the guy from Gen V. I forgot his name. I'm so sorry. I'll bring him up.
Okay, I'm obsessed with Patrick Wilson. I think he's amazing too. He was in Little Children, which I feel like there's some thematic overlap. I love Tom Perrotta. I'm trying to think. I feel like I have a better answer for the funeral song, and I can't think of one.
Fly me.
Yes, that's the funeral song. Oh, thank you.
But kind of with like a David Lynch filter on it.
That's brilliant.
Who's your dream eulogizer at your funeral?
Jack Nicholson. I don't have a better idea.
What's the most underrated ride at Disneyland?
Haunted Mansion, just like the regular, not Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. Oh no, actually, Pirates of the Caribbean is the more underrated because it's always got a 5-minute line, and I know it's partially because of the loading.
Have you seen the
system,
Overwatch
but
news?
I think it's amazing. You feel me nerding out. Disney question. I'm gonna have 14 answers for you. Brace yourself.
Anything related to Disney or theme
Domino.
parks in general, I get tremendous anxiety around.
I'm very happy
great.
about her.
I see the families and I get all of their anxiety. I see the dad trying to hold the marriage together. I see the kids who can't appreciate everything. 24-year-old adult person in a goofy costume.
Ooh, and her fucking old too. Ooh, and her old too. Ooh, 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 that line. Ooh.
Doom, just trying to get a paycheck. I see the hopes and dreams of the singles with the Mickey ears, and I can't do it.
This is a kind of what makes
I'm
it
not
so
gonna
magical.
say it
I mean,
because I can't
definitely have the
speak-
I'm able to kind of.
I can't
access
speak the
my inner child
language,
when
but
I
like,
go to Disney. So
I love the way she says it.
it's amazing, but I also have that to the point that I have a secret Instagram account called Forlorn Disney, where I take pictures of sad people or people like having a meltdown or kids crying or dads looking unhappy, and I throw a bright filter on all of them, and I post them to that secret account. I think it's private, maybe it's not. Check it out.
What's your biggest fear?
Not a fan of flying in airplanes. It's gotten worse recently, and failure. It's boring, but it's true.
What's your greatest regret in life?
Wasting so much time on an eating disorder.
Finally, Jeanette, are you happy?
Every day I experience a lot of joy, and I also experience a lot of all the emotions. I always say if emotions are on a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know what a 5 looks like, or anything under, or frankly a 6 or a 7, or really an 8.
A what?
Just know the 9s and 10s. So at times it's really fun being me. It's a blast. At times it's not. That's the most honest answer I can give you. How about you?
I kind of like the idea of the adjusted Jeanette McCurdy bell curve of happiness, you know? It's like, what if we just shifted the ranking system to the right a little bit? That way everybody in the class can get an A or a B, and I'm going to get a good ratemyprofessor.com. I like that idea.
Great.
I think I'm happy.
Hola, Tuller. Ooh.
Simple.
And I'm especially happy that I got to drink all these wonderful beverages with you.
Yeah, we have a beautiful sort of
Melange.
arrangement here. Yeah.
Truly, I'm such a big fan. Half His Age was such an incredible read. And again, you had me hooked from the first paragraph of I'm Glad My Mom Died. And it's really awesome to see you out here writing such beautiful work.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here. This was an amazing conversation. And this exceeded my expectations, which were already very high. Speaking earlier of expectations, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, if you want to deliver your last words to that camera, right there.
Last.
Brevity, truth.
Really? Last words? What would my last words be? Last words. The show must go on. Ah, the voices. The voices. I was just kidding. No, you're so right. I was just kidding. It's not the vibe. Stop!
Fullness. Everyone check out Half His Age wherever you get books. And go to Disney's California Adventure.
It's not the vibe.
We're good.
Last Meals is now available on Peacock. Start streaming today.
Brie Larson. I'm good. It's not the vibe. Oh, that's good. Oh yeah, Brie Larson is Rosalina, huh? Okay, well that is complete. So what we're going to do, I will beat this fight and then we will move over to Rivals. Who wants to play Rivals? That sounds like fun, right? I'll dabble. Yeah, I mean, yeah, why not, you know? We play Overwatch here, sorry. Okay, just not that I care, but how much does this Mercy skin cost? This, what is it called? The mythical skin? What is that? There's an... Is there a bounty? No. You know what Scott reminds me of? You know what Scott reminds me of?
Sick fantasies run through my mind. I will not go back to that restaurant.
Have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands?
Errands?
Have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands?
Are you fucking serious with this stupid fight?
Have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands? Aaron. Have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands?
No, I am not finished with those errands, and I never will be. So quit checking up on me.
Are we gonna stream Ace Attorney? Are we gonna play TGAA? Are we gonna play... Are we gonna play Overwatch? I love you, Scott. Scott was promised trials 3,000 years ago. Well, you know what? The trials are the friends we made along the way. Okay, how's about that? Oh, so I'm not allowed to ask? No.